Czechoslovakia.
All right. Let's see here. I got my mouse.
You got everything working over here?
I think so.
Dude, this place is amazing.
Dude, Chop and Swizzle, man.
I know. Shout out to Chef Dick. Thanks, sir.
Chop and what did we eat?
Okay, so they gave us a list. We had swizzle sprouts.
Okay.
With the chef's spicy Thai sauce, Ohio honey, and peanuts.
Okay.
We had calamari with graham cracker breading, pickled red onions, aioli, and chili oil.
Okay.
And then my favorite, the Cuban egg roll with a Swiss cheese fondue, mojo pork, honey ham, and pickled cabbage, a.k.a. sauerkraut.
Okay. To me, that was all a whole bunch of goodness.
Oh, dude, it was fantastic.
They just kept bringing out plates, and I'm just like
absolutely phenomenal.
And then there's these drinks.
I know, right?
So what do we got going on there?
So we've got this evening we have Roddy's Special.
Okay.
Which is phenomenal. I had one before the show, and then I am currently.
Wait. Was that on fire?
It was on fire.
That's
yes, it was a shot. It was on fire. I did not burn myself. I did blow the flame out before I consumed it. But the drink I'm drinking right now is Kate's Calamity. It's a phenomenal drink.
Okay, so I've noticed that Kate's Calamity not only is popular right here up top, but
I saw a bunch of people getting it.
There's people all through the whole facility having some Kate's Calamity right now.
Everybody's enjoying it.
Let me go ahead and share this. Okay, so share that. We're there. We're good there. So the nice thing about Chop and Swizzle, right? You look around. It's like a speakeasy bar, right? It's like,
I know.
It's all prohibition style.
This is fun. Like, I didn't know what to expect. I'd never been here before. And, I walked in. I'm like, yeah, this is it's quite nice.
Very cool. Very cool environment. Very cool atmosphere. Folks, we're just getting started now. It's about 7:01.
Eastern Standard Time.
We're anticipating, Michigan still sucks.
And
we're anticipating tonight's show is going to go roughly an hour to 2 hours. So if you're out and about and you still want to stop on down, those drink specials are going to be running until 8 o'clock this evening. So make sure you stop by Chop and Swizzle, and that's down in Green. It's right across the big plaza from where Acme's located. If you're looking, it's by Menchie's. All right. Also, tomorrow, this pod's going to drop on iTunes tomorrow. So make sure you look for that if you're into the iTunes scene. And our next episode, right, producer, Mr. Moonman, Hop and the Bean, Hop Part 2, Hop and Bean Part 2 is dropping on Friday, right? That's from our on-site reporter Buzz Andrews.
Yep.
Okay,
which
those will be beer and coffee exclusives.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Wow.
Kate, what are you doing? Kate's had a couple. Kate's had a couple calamities out there. All right, so folks, if you're out there in our viewing audience right now, just go ahead and hit share. Just say, I'm in attendance. Please join us live. Give us a round of applause. Hey, I guess we should do a show.
I think we should do a show. We've done all this work. So
is he ready to go over there?
I don't know. I don't think he's ready.
You ready for the fist bump?
He's not ready yet.
You ready for the show?
Are you ready now, Moon Man? Let's do a show, baby.
We've got a great show tonight. Ladies and gentlemen. 3, 3, 0. 3, 3, 0. 3, 3, 0. 3, 3, 0.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to 330 to Go. I'm your host, Hank Forrester, coming to you live from our temporary stakeout studios down in Green, inside the deep woods of Chop and Swizzle. In today's episode, we dive headfirst into local school safety and related issues in the wake of the Parkland and Jackson shootings. But first, before we do that, we're once again joined by the golden tones of Roddy Voorhees.
How you doing, Hank?
Living the dream, baby.
Just living the dream.
Living the dream. I got a question for you.
What's that?
Is your company looking for brand consistency?
Always.
Always? Interested in improving your company's first impression?
Would I be?
I think you should.
Okay.
Up High Media can help by offering your company a one-partner solution. Choose Up High to improve your current website, graphic design, and printing needs. Up High Media can design and supply your company's logo, new website, apparel and promotional items, marketing material and custom packaging, signs, trade show displays, and much, much more. Find out more about Up High at uphigh.com. That's UPHI.com.
Did you do it right?
I think I did it right.
It's U dot 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 P.
Oh, you dot dot. No, you don't
P
want to. You
dot
don't want
dot
to.
dot.
You don't want to type that in.
H dot dot dot.
No, if you type that in, you're not going to.
No,
get
it
their
says
website.
I dot dot dot. So those are the pregnant pauses.
Right.
.com.
High.
They're here in attendance. So
They
folks,
are. Shout out
if
to
you're
Up
here
High.
right now, shout out to Up High Media. They are here, our main sponsors. So there they are. So if you're interested in any of their services, please make sure you check in with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so here we go with tonight's episode. So
Before we start,
yes,
should we have a moment of silence?
for
The former left tackle of our Cleveland Browns, Joe Thomas.
Joe Thomas retiring today. Moment of silence.
Okay, that's enough.
All right, we're good. Hall of Famer Joe Thomas
We'll see you in Canton, buddy.
lived his whole Cleveland Browns existence, never got to play in a playoff game.
I know. It's,
Oh,
it's sad.
all right. So I just heard the cue.
I did. I heard
Onions.
the
All right,
cue.
so
Just
folks,
trying to-
so here we are tonight. We're going into tonight's episode. What? Your purse is
We'll do it live.
Kate. Seriously, Kate, right
Wow.
now. Kate, I know this is live, right? But
Yeah, we're live.
it's under
right now.
there, Kate.
It's under there
Okay.
somewhere.
All right. So, folks, here's the deal, right? We don't do this. This is not our style. We are a fun show. We don't do serious, okay?
Yeah, but we need to.
I know we need to. And a while ago, we had said, I set this show up like 5 or 6 weeks ago, and then everything happened.
Right.
And then on top of that, everything happened even more when they set the date for the 14th.
Right.
Okay, as far as the walkouts and all that other stuff, which I had already set our date on the 14th.
Yep.
So I'm like, this is just bizarre, right?
They
So-
copied us. That's fine.
Oh, okay.
That's
sure,
what I'm gonna
that-
go
you're
with.
saying the national,
Hey.
the national
Hey.
empowered.
We are gaining serious traction,
I
bro.
can
I
see
don't
that.
know. I don't know what to tell you.
I
But
can see that. That makes sense. I see lots of friends of the show that are starting to arrive right
Yeah.
now. So thanks for coming, guys. All right. So
Absolutely.
basically, when we get into this topic, it's not an easy topic to talk about. When I first brought this up, this was back with Vegas, okay,
Right.
and we started talking about it. Then it was this is a onion, and it's got layers to it, right?
Mhm.
So it wasn't just like one topic. You couldn't just say, "Oh, it's gun control," and
right.
it's this big onion and it's got layers. Well, then when I started diving further into it and we started doing research, we started getting people providing input.
Right.
I realized it's more like a full bag of onions. Okay, so
I wondered why you had
that's
those
we got a
out.
bag of onions here, right? It's
Right.
Onions.
Onions.
Where's producer? Onions.
Onions.
There it
you go.
is. All right. So we got a bag
Fantastic.
of onions here, right? Point being, each one of those is its own topic, and we actually passed out those to the crowd in terms of the topics we're covering tonight. They got their little half sheets, right?
Yep.
And every one of those is its own onion with its own version of layers to it.
You realize we could be here for hours.
We could be
tonight.
for
I
hours,
mean,
but we're
there's
gonna
so
try-
much to talk
We're
about.
going to be here for
but-
about an hour to two.
Yep.
Okay, that's
1
the
to
plan.
2, guys. That's what we're telling you.
All right, so I got 3 stories or statements that I'm going to make up front. Hold on, hairball.
Airball.
So first off, you do know I have opinions on this stuff.
You do?
Okay, so I'm going to do my best to try and keep those opinions kind of to myself and try and moderate, which is hard to do, right?
Right.
Hey, when have I ever been known to keep my opinion to myself? So the
Wow.
point is that it's going to be hard to do, right?
Right.
So, point being, when this really started for me was back with Vegas. Okay. Oh, Yoli. Yoli's been on our show. Yoli's
Yes.
friend of show.
Oh, she's hiding in the background.
There she is.
She doesn't want to be seen.
Mrs. Akron. There she is, Yoli.
Yep.
The point that when this all started for me back in Vegas, and I thought, you know what, this is enough, right, to at least have a healthy conversation about gun control and start looking at the laws and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
It looks like a friend of show, the Halstons are pulling it. Too.
Yeah, I see.
All right.
that.
So anyway, the point is that when Vegas happened, I thought, you know what a perfect opportunity for us to have this discussion.
Absolutely.
And I had you remember I had just had that wedding weekend, and then I kind of went off on Facebook and I had like this big rant and I lost a whole bunch of friends and stuff. Okay.
I remember that day. Yes.
You remember that day?
I
So
do.
I'm literally in the process of my rant. I
Mhm.
finished the rant. I hit save, send, whatever. And my 2-year-old comes running through the house with this full bore like this,
Okay.
like just blasting away, like chasing my son with this.
Okay.
My 2-year-old. Okay?
Oh, okay.
It was at that moment that I realized from the moment that a child is born here in America, we create that culture. It's just part of the culture of America.
Okay.
It is what it is, right? So, for example, right now I'm going to survey the audience. If you can hear my voice, raise your hand if you've ever played laser tag with your friends or your kids. Raise your hand if you've ever played paintball. Raise your hand if you've ever shot a BB gun. Raise your hand if you've ever been target shooting. Okay? It's all part of our culture of America.
What about playing cops and robbers?
Playing cops and robbers with
We
toy
did-
guns,
We
rubber
did
band
that
guns,
as a kid. Yeah.
airsoft guns. I mean, that's part of our culture.
Right.
Okay? So it was at that moment when my 2-year-old taught me that lesson, then I thought, okay, this is part of America. We're never going to embrace the idea of a full ban. It just probably won't work. This part is my opinion, okay?
Mhm.
And we're going to get into the other stuff in a minute, okay? I'm not anti-gun. I've never been anti-gun. My wife's family is a we'll say as a rural family. She's giving me that look. Kate's giving me the look right now.
She's telling you to
She's
tread
giving me the
lightly.
look, okay? That's a gun family down there, okay?
Okay.
There's a gun in every room in the house, okay? And when all the grandkids started being born, the guns just moved up. So everything's on, I shouldn't be saying this. Hopefully Jillian's not watching back home right now. But the point is, they're a gun family, right? So that's part
Okay.
of the culture. We shoot barrels. We shoot, they hunt groundhogs because they destroy farms, right? So that's what we're dealing with here, okay? So now here we are, and so from that standpoint, we're talking about onions tonight, this bag of onions, but the focus is not going to be guns per se. That will be a part of it,
Mhm.
but there's so much more that we can contribute to the discussion. All right, and from that standpoint, folks, if you're listening out there right now, I want to share a story with you. So today was the walkouts. It's a significant event across America, and it hit Akron pretty hard. I went live with Kate. We filmed Firestone walking out this morning, and the kids had a lot of things to say, and it was very eye-opening to us, and it was a tremendous experience, and we felt we were literally being a part of history. Okay, but I did approach the principal afterward, and I shared a story with him. So I took a paper to my daughter. This would have been on Monday, right? Or Thursday, Wednesday, Friday. It was Monday. So Monday morning, I walk into the school,
Okay.
and
And let me wait. I'll stop you.
Yeah.
So they stopped you at the door.
no. Let me explain Firestone. Firestone is a new school in Akron. It was built to be safe.
Okay.
It was designed to be safe. Okay. I'm assuming after I tell this story, there's going to be an immediate change to their procedures. Okay.
Okay.
So when you walk in the door, you're inside a vestibule. So you go in the front doors, and there's only one point of entry. You walk in, and you're now standing in a 5-foot by 30-foot area, and then there's a set of doors in front of you, and they're all locked. Okay. So you can't get in. So you have to go to the right. So you go to the right, and as you walk in, there's a security camera there, and you got to buzz in, and they can see you through the door. The door's open right here in front of you. Okay. There's a kid at a desk. I'm guessing a junior, senior. He's looking at me. I'm looking at him. I can't get in. Okay. So he stands up to go buzz me in. Well, the secretary comes back, administrative assistant, whatever they're called nowadays at Firestone.
Mm-hmm.
And she buzzes me in, and I walk in the door. And at that point, I am holding the paper, and I look at the kid, and I say, "I'm Jillian's dad. I have a letter for her." He goes, "Okay, well, you need to go around this area, walk down, take a right turn, and go all the way down the hallway. You're going to go to room 106, and that's the counselor's office." Okay.
Okay.
I'm probably going to get in trouble for sharing this story, but this is important to understand.
Right.
I go all the way down the hallway. I walk by. I go by the guard station. There's 2 police officers sitting there in Firestone. So there's always police in Firestone. They have their own shack, right? And they've got the mirror rooms and their guard, they've got cameras. Cameras are all over the building. Okay. I walk all the way down the hallway. Nobody questioned me. Nobody asked me my name. Nobody asked me for my ID. I walked 200 yards into the building. I walked to room 106. I said, "I'm Jillian Foster. I'm Jillian's dad." Okay. "I'm Jillian's dad."
Nice.
I handed the letter. They said, "We'll call her down." I then walked all the way back out of the building, and nobody questioned me.
Yeah.
This is a brand new high school. It's one of the most secure in Akron. And I walked all the way in without being questioned after being buzzed in. I was wearing my Ohio State jacket, which is a poofy winter coat. I could have easily had as many as you
Right.
could fit in that jacket.
That's no excuse.
To me, that's why we are here. It's not only the policies and the procedures and the safeties of those buildings. There are so many parts to these onions, okay? And we're going to start peeling those away right now.
Onions!
All right, so right now, folks, again, go ahead and hit share.
Yep,
if you're here in
absolutely.
the audience right now, say, I'm in attendance, and please join the conversation. That way they can do it remotely, okay? All right, so here we go. One, our discussion is specifically the school buildings themselves, okay? Now, when I look at this, I went to the school board meeting on Monday, and I kind of was given some liberties that you're not supposed to be allowed to have. I had not applied to talk in advance, but I actually went ahead and I raised my hand because I didn't know what else to do.
So were you like shy and timid when
I
you
was
did
sitting
it,
way
or-
in the back corner, and everyone had talked, and they had interviewed all of the security guys that were part of Akron
Okay.
because the guy was there doing a safety presentation to the board. And they interviewed a bunch of the police officers were there and the security officers were there, which, by the way, one of the board members took severe offense to when our president made a statement about security officers not necessarily caring about the kids. Like, she kind of went off on that, and it's in the board meeting minutes. You can read that. I'm not going to get into it. But the point is, they all said the same things, that it's all about building relationships with the kids. And really, we can't do any more to the school buildings. And that, and this was after the Reverend had asked them the question, if you had unlimited funds and unlimited resources to them, what would you do to enhance our buildings? And they all said the same thing. It's all about knowing the kids. It's all about knowing the kids. And it's all about building relationships with the kids because they will turn each other in. Okay? That's what I heard. So I just kind of went like this. I'm sitting in the back, right? And I raised my hand like this. And Patrick Bravo, the school the board president, he looks back, he looks over at me, and he goes, yes? And I go, I have a question. I go, I've never been here before. Am I allowed to talk? Can I ask a question? He goes, usually no, but go ahead. So I asked the question, and I said, have we done everything that we can in our power to secure the buildings in every way possible? And the whole board just kind of, they did like this.
Yeah, they had to
They
had to readjust in their
they
seats.
They all like
and-
shifted, right?
Right.
And I go, but, and then nobody stopped me, so I kept going. And then I told that story about Firestone.
Yeah,
Okay.
man.
And then on top of that, they just let me keep going. So I had talked to the Reverend about the school in Indiana that's got the hot zones. And I talked about, door wedge locks that go into the doors and bulletproof doors and all these things, right? I talked about the pods that you could put in the back of the elementary rooms where an entire class could fit into a hut. I brought all that up, and they just let me go.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as the board meeting was over, one of the guys got annoyed with me, right? So, as soon as the board meeting was over, they said, hey, thank you for bringing that up. These are all things that are concerns of ours. Now we can address them. We just needed somebody to say it. I'm like, well, why me though? Why did it take me 20 years after Columbine almost to bring that up?
Wow.
I don't get it.
Didn't realize you're right. It's been almost 20 years.
So, all right. So here we are, folks. Here are some of our topics. We're going to get in. Now, here's the deal. You guys that are in attendance, okay?
Yep.
If at any time that you want to talk, just kind of give us a hey, and we'll let you come on up. And
The more you know.
the more you know. We've got a microphone set up for you guys. You'll kind of be on camera a little bit, and we'll give you, 2 minutes, whatever, 3 minutes, whatever you want to say. Some of you are long-winded. I don't know. But the point is, feel free to say whatever it is that you want. This is the concept of the town hall. We appreciate you guys coming out, and we want to hear your opinions as much as the folks that are out talking online right now. All right, so here we go. One of the things that someone brought up to me is standardized testing. In regards to we have changed our testing style over the course of the years, and as a result, the teachers have a tendency to teach to the test, right? And this has been a hot topic for 5, 10, 15, 20 years now. And as a result, they don't get to know the kids on that one-on-one personal level like they did in the past. That there's a deterioration inside the educational system itself. That's something somebody brought up. Another topic someone brought up, and a lot of people have brought this up, and that's arming teachers. All right, by the way, before we get into this, guys, bear with us, and we'll bear with you, right? No idea is a bad idea. No idea is a bad idea. Right now, this is a brainstorming session tonight. We're not going to boo each other. We're not going to get angry with each other. We're here. That's why we picked it to be here, because Chop and Swizzle is awesome and their drinks are fantastic.
Absolutely.
In fact, give Chef Dick a round of
Chef
applause
Dick.
right now.
Thank you,
There
Chef
he is
Dick.
He's back there, everybody. He's back there. So thank him for allowing us to be a part of this here tonight. But the point is, no idea is a bad idea.
No, what did they tell you in school?
What?
There is no such thing as a dumb question.
There's no such thing as a dumb question. Unless
Right.
it's not asked, okay? The point is, right, we're here. The goal, and I talked to Bruce Alexander. Bruce is a member of the Akron School Board, and he said it would be fantastic if you guys could hand me a stack of ideas. Like, have a meeting tonight, stack of ideas. So that's why we're here, all right? So if you got ideas, please feel free to share them with us. All right, next one. Arming teachers, okay? We've talked about this. A lot of people brought it up. That's an idea. It's a possibility, right?
Right.
Some schools supposedly already have armed teachers.
I had no idea.
We did a bunch of research on this, and correct me, Dan and Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong. There are school districts already in America that already have armed teachers. They don't even know who they are. So as far as like an air marshal program, okay? All right, so let's write these
Or
down
the
as we go.
secret shopper at Walmart.
Secret
You don't know who
shoppers at
it is.
Walmart, right?
Right.
There's so having armed teachers, there's so many things that could go right, and there's so many things that could go wrong.
Right.
Okay, so there's pros and cons. You got to weigh those out. Okay. Next one, point of entries.
Yep.
Point of entries. You know, a lot of people have brought up doing metal detectors. Huge pros and cons, because how do you get 2,000 kids into a building just like they're coming into a Cavs game? It takes a while,
Yeah.
especially because they got book bags, right?
Right.
So what do we do? How do you handle that? What are your ideas in terms of metal detector systems, as far as getting kids in an orderly fashion and a timely fashion? Because one person brought up, if you got people all waiting in line to get in, they're all sitting ducks sitting out there in the parking lot, right?
Right.
So metal detectors. Next one, armed guards and veterans. That's been brought up. As far as having armed guards, most schools already have armed guards. Raise your hand. Well, I don't know. Yeah, we're already there. So let's just ask: does your kid's school have an armed guard out there? Every one of my kids' schools has armed guards right now. I don't know if that's because it's Akron or why, but right now all of them have armed guards. Say it again. It's Akron Public Schools policy, so that's already a part of Akron. Okay,
I know mine doesn't.
that's a question to ask your people, right? That's a question to ask your people. Do they have armed guards right now? Ask your kids, and if they don't know, then give the school a call and say, hey, do we have armed guards? Part of this is us doing our own due diligence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Say
We have a question in the audience.
it again. Parkland had armed guards too. They had an armed officer. He was there. He's outside. We know the whole story with Parkland, right? 3,200 students. And how many armed guards? There's only one that we know of. Okay, so Parkland had 3,200 students and one armed guard.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are all part of the discussion.
Think of that
topics, right?
ratio.
Next, we talked about the Air Marshal program. Check.
Yep.
Yes, question. Well, come on up. Here we go.
No name on this one because they'll know exactly who I am.
Okay.
So I have kids in a high school and in a junior high, right downtown.
Okay.
The middle school, all the kids know the officer's name. He knows all the kids.
Okay.
It's easy. It's a small school.
Okay.
Right? At the high school, and he's a great guy. Fit. If I was in trouble, I'd go to him. Right.
Okay.
At the high school, the police officer there, his nickname is Meatball.
Okay.
I wouldn't, if I was in trouble, I wouldn't expect him to show up first. I'd expect him to show up third.
Okay.
So the fitness level of the people who are there,
All right.
right?
It's definitely an
Protecting
issue.
our kids. You can have somebody there with a gun, or you can have somebody there with nunchucks or a javelin or whatever, but if they can't use them, or they can't run, or they can't perform their duties,
Okay.
that's big.
Okay. That's a good point. And the hard part about that is now not only do they have to be a guard, but now they kind of got to be a unicorn. So in other words, they have to have some sort of SWAT training. They have to be able to deter or repel boarders, and they also have to have the ability to create those relationships with the kids. Okay, so I get that. That's a good point. Thank you for that. And yeah, go ahead. Come on up. He turns it on and off.
So
Go ahead.
this is a question.
Just yep.
This is a question that may apply later.
Okay.
In your onion, I heard you make reference to the Akron
Try to
Public
try to
Schools
talk into the
yesterday.
mic so we can hear you.
Akron Public Schools.
Yep.
So I'm to understand that every Akron Public School has armed presence.
Supposedly.
Supposedly, it's a.
Is there anybody in the room here that has children or staff members in the parish schools?
Where's Parish?
In the parish school, any parish schools in Akron?
Parish as in like the Saints?
Any of the Saint schools? There's what,
We're-
half a dozen of them?
Hoban alumni. Yeah, we did a show on that.
Yeah.
Lots of St. V people watching.
No.
Okay,
Hey.
so I can speak to that.
Okay.
There are no armed guards in any of the parish schools in the city of Akron.
Okay.
I would wonder, I would ask the question why, and maybe address that later in the conversation.
Okay.
I think with them being a
Well, but what I'm saying is, why do they choose not to, or why do they need not to?
Okay.
What differences do we see in those structures, and how does that play into the conversation of school safety?
Okay.
yeah, that's a good point.
All right. Good question. Good point.
Yeah, I like those.
Are we hey guys, raise your hand if you're not comfortable with me saying your name when you come up. Everybody comfortable with that? Besides you, Big D.
Don't say my name.
We'll just call him up high, okay?
I don't
All
want
right,
my name.
So the point is that was Jason Friend of the show, and everybody knows the other lady. I mean, she's yeah. No,
Can't say her name.
she shall remain nameless.
She requested.
All right, so next is a lack of resources, right? Okay, at the end of the day, we all know that the majority of what we're talking about right now comes down to money.
Yep.
This comes down to funding, okay? It's all great. Okay, let's have some guards. Let's have some metal detectors. Let's have some support personnel, but
Right.
who's going to pay for it?
Exactly. All
Okay.
of those things cost
These
money.
are all things that come up in the discussion, okay? So in other words, where are we going to get the funding for this, okay? My question and this is my personal question, and this will not be a popular question. Is there any way that we could find a way to divert other parts of the national budget towards school safety? Can we divert any part of the national budget towards school safety? Is there anywhere where we spend a bajillion trillion dollars that we might be able to spare some to go towards school safety unilaterally? That's my personal question.
Here's my
Okay?
question.
Yes,
How much money did we raise for Vegas?
for Vegas.
Mhm.
After the Vegas shooting, I honestly don't know.
$32 million.
I know all the hurricane stats. I don't know the Vegas
$32
stats.
million.
Okay,
Why can't we raise some money?
so you're saying raise that from personal funds.
Exactly.
I'm saying sacrifice a couple bombers and tanks and put that money over there. But that's just
The
me.
money's got to be somewhere. It's got to come from somewhere.
But that's just me.
We donate money all the time.
All right.
Why
Well,
can't we
and-
donate it for the safety of our children?
How does it get allocated? That's the problem, right? All right. So everybody donates. You get 7,500 people from New York and 10,000 people from LA, and they all donate. Nobody else donates, and now you're supposed to split the money evenly against all the schools.
That's something that has to. It has to be
it's a hard
regulated.
part-
You're
It's a
right.
hard part.
But
a
it's
hard
something.
thing
But
to
it's
regulate.
something that can be done.
All right, so yeah, I spoke to a school principal off the record this week, actually two of them, and they both said the exact same thing. They said we need more people. It comes down to funding. We need more people. We need more counselors. We need more resource support. If you would have had someone that was in charge of that door, they would have taken. We got to change the procedures and the policies that should already exist. I know. I think they're here. I think there's some Jackson people here.
Yep.
Are they down
They're
low?
sitting down
Somewhere
below.
over
Yep.
there?
I see them.
Jackson people. Okay. Right now, when you go to into a Jackson building, do you have to show an ID to go in? Is she over there? Is she listening?
They're talking
they're
amongst.
eating.
No.
You do
No.
not have to show an ID.
No.
Okay. Is there anybody here that has to show an ID when they go into a school building?
Okay, so they took your ID at first. They made a
Okay.
copy of it. You now don't need to show your ID, but you get a sticker that has a copy of your ID.
You get a sticker. So initially,
Yeah.
Okay.
so you check in initially one time, and then you got a sticker.
Then
That's
you
like,
get a sticker.
okay. Well, that's a problem.
And you have to wear it.
That's a problem because right now I don't have to show an ID to go in, and that's got to change.
Well, that's
What?
But that's the procedure.
What? Oh,
That's not the policy. That's just the procedure.
what? They didn't see your face.
She did that on purpose.
You don't have to have an ID to vote. Okay?
Um,
It's a school by school issue. They do.
wait, when I voted last, I had to show an ID.
We don't. I just did it.
We don't.
I just did it.
You know what?
Okay.
They supposedly know.
Oh.
I don't know if they did not
All right.
know me at my school if I would have to show an ID.
Point being, the principals said we need more people. We don't have the resources. We've reduced our resources in the last 10 years tremendously. We've gotten rid of guidance counselors. We've gotten rid of at-risk counselors. We've gotten rid of SBH and at-risk teachers. They're shared, but they're now shared between teams and grade levels and schools. So in other words, the guidance counselor would be here on Monday and there on Tuesday and there on Wednesday.
Right.
It all comes down to funding right now. Okay. And we all know this, that most of this topic is about money. We know that, right? But we don't want to talk about it. Here I am. I almost said I'll take the bullet. That's not
Yeah,
good.
you did.
By the way, we're allowed to laugh tonight, guys. We are. I mean, we're a fun show, so feel free to laugh. Okay. What? Where? Okay.
Funding for schools cut so severely that a lot of schools could not or will not meet their budgets.
Okay.
So the state is not providing funding.
Okay. So
We pay the state, and the state is not paying our schools.
what's she doing? Kate, what are you doing?
He said to move it.
Oh, okay. But then
She's-
they
she's
won't be on
following.
cam. Is that okay? You're okay with it? They don't care.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So again, it's funding cut. So the schools have literally been losing resources left and right. Okay. That's a problem. That contributes. It's a layer. It's a layer
Yep.
of the onion. Next. We don't know. That's the problem, right? Where does the money come
That's
from?
what we have to figure out.
How do we fund what needs funded? And the problem is 95% of the time it falls on the taxpayers in that locality, right? And then a levy has to go through, and then it comes down to us having to raise our taxes.
Yep.
Instead of having a national budget that would, or even a state budget that would cover those specific things. Okay. Huh? That also comes from the same place in terms of taxation. You're right. So, can you put a flat tax and change the whole sales tax thing? I don't know. These are all ideas. We need ideas. How do we solve these problems? We know they exist, but now how do we solve them? That's why we're here. We're brainstorming.
Yep.
Okay. Next one. Bullying protocol. How do you handle bullies? How are schools handling bullies? Right now, what I hear all the time is people complain. I mean, just today we've got a mom here in the audience. If she can hear me. We have a mom here in the audience. We have a mom here in the audience that was getting into it with a bunch of moms, okay, going back and forth. And one of the moms, her point of view is no matter what we talk about with these onions, her immediate thing is always bullying. So in other words, she kind of omits the rest of the whole conversation, but she focuses on just bullying, and this is only a bullying problem, okay? And so my question, okay, to that mom, what should we establish as a bullying protocol within the school? Because right now, when a kid is accused of bullying, what happens in your school? In your building right now, if someone gets accused of bullying, what's the protocol? What happens to that kid? The principal talks to him. The guidance counselor talks to them, right? What happens? You guys tell me at your schools, what happens? Sometimes the parents are brought in, okay? So right now, we need to change the bullying protocol. We know this. Where does that happen? It happens at the school, and it happens at home, okay? How do we handle that at home? How do we handle that as parents? Okay, I have a kid that gets bullied all the time for the last 6, 7, 8 years. We feel terrible for her. She hates going to school. 95% of the time, she doesn't want to go to school because she's not accepted. Okay? So as a result, we are constantly nurturing her and over-nurturing her at home to a point where it causes friction between me and her because Kate, I'm not going to talk on that.
You're getting a look.
Okay. The point is, we know this is a layer of the onion, right? Next one, Alice protocol. Where are you guys with Alice in your schools? Okay. Do the private schools have Alice drills? Okay.
Some do, yes.
Does CVCA have Alice drills? Does CVCA do readiness drills for alert shooter? Okay. What about the other Christian schools? Okay. Now, what do those drills consist of? What do those drills consist of? No, what do they do? Have you ever asked your kid, what do you do during an Alice drill? What do they do?
They teach the kids how to assess the situation where they're at.
Okay.
They could take the appropriate action, whether that's fleeing, bunkering in place, or confronting,
Okay.
and then teach them how to handle those.
But they set it up like a
Very
normal
basic.
drill. Like they were banging on my son's door.
Do they get down into position like behind desks and stuff? Okay.
Think of it like our old tornado.
Right. I just want to make sure. Because if they're not doing that, then it's not worth doing. I know for a fact, Kate's about to contribute here. Go ahead. Walk up to the mic. Walk up to the mic.
I know that at one school they don't do it because the teachers don't follow the protocol. They continue teaching. The children don't respond to it. It becomes a big joke. That was a complaint I heard from one of my children.
It's not acceptable. But how do we change that, right? How do we demand that an Alice drill is done appropriately? And the better question is, what should be the protocol? Every school should have a protocol this is what you do, okay? And we should all know that as parents. It's our responsibility for us to know that and for us to reiterate it at home, okay? When we were kids, when you did a tornado drill, you knew what to do, right? What did we do as tornado drills when we were all kids? You went into the middle of the hallway, right? And you found a wall, and you got down into that little crouch, and then you put your hands over your head like this, and you tucked. That was a tornado drill. We know what to do, okay? The question we all have to ask
I
ourselves.
never thought that was very effective.
Okay, well, that was still. I always thought, well, the roof will just blow right off, right?
Exactly.
So the point is, do we? Excuse me. Hey, can you come up to the mic, please? Come on.
They taught my 6-year-old to stab him with a
No. People, what?
I'll sit down and talk.
Here she comes.
She's coming.
You're not
She's
on mic.
coming.
You're not
on camera.
You're not on
I
camera.
just said it.
Go ahead.
It keeps changing, like what they want them to do. First,
Okay.
they want them to hide, right? And then, if they have a closet, they're supposed to get in the closet, right? But I mean, I had this conversation with my kindergartner and second grader, and they were laughing about it because they felt silly. They're like, "Yeah, they told us to throw our pencils at him." I'm like, "What is that really gonna do? Like, they're risking their lives." My kindergartner, I
Right.
don't know.
Right.
Someone suggested that there be a bucket of huge rocks next to the teacher's desk.
I've heard that bucket of rocks. I have heard that. I've seen
Not a
that
bad
commented
idea.
before.
I really don't know. I don't like the idea. I don't like the idea of them having to even talk about it to my kindergartner. I don't.
Okay.
I don't like the idea that they're teaching the kids to defend. I don't know.
But I know that something has to be done.
There
Okay.
has to be something, but going through those drills and teaching them to stab them.
How many people have seen? How many? You got something?
No, he's mad because nobody's talking into the microphone.
Okay. How many people here have seen a hide and place hut online? Have any of you?
I have not.
Are you guys aware they exist? It's a shelter-in-place hut. It's about the size of the room that you're in right now. It's a corner, and an entire elementary class will fit into it with bench seating in the time of something like this happening. It's a bulletproof room that's inside the classroom that fits in the corner. Are you guys aware that those exist? Okay. Well, they are out there. What do they cost? Google it. I have no idea. Why can't we have those in every elementary classroom?
They use them for like reading.
They use them for reading nooks, all kinds of stuff. They are multi-purpose. They are available right now.
But it leads back to
Funding
funding.
comes down to funding.
Exactly.
All right, so hideaway huts. So look them up, guys. If you're not familiar, take that idea to your district. The next one is walkie-talkies. Okay, at the end of the day, we get so enamored with technology that we don't realize that there are still primitive technologies that work very effectively in these kind of situations.
Walkie-talkies are so much fun.
When I watched the district today secure the outside area around Firestone, they were all on walkie-talkies. The principal was out there. The police had them. The security guys had them. They were all on walkie-talkies together, okay? Why can we not have a walkie-talkie in every classroom? Why can we not have 20, 30, 40 that are all in the same band, all in the same channel, in the classrooms together? It comes down to funding, but is that an option? Would that help in a situation like what we've seen? Because it establishes immediate communication where you don't have to do it over the PA system. Because right now, most schools have a PA system that works where the office can contact that room, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's been around for 20, 30 years. Okay, what's this?
That's the hut.
All right, here we go. You ready? It's called it's a hideaway hut, bulletproof shelter. They are estimated at around $30 per unit. $30,000 per unit. I said $30.
If you said $30,
Hey, yes.
that's sold right there.
$30,000 per unit. So
the cost of a brand new car.
Figure out how many classrooms are in your school, and multiply that, and that's what you need to have hideaway huts in your classrooms. Okay? Those are an option. $30K. All right, but in addition, establish communication between the rooms. Walkie-talkies. Look up a decent walkie-talkie. They still are out there. With the lanyard speaking plays, right? I'm thinking, Kevin, what do you think? A couple $100 for a good unit? Because I could get my little $500 for walkie-talkie. Okay. Batteries, all the accessories, regular maintenance. Anybody can train it. Everybody can key into it. So if they had the codes, right? What's the downside? There's no code. 2 people push a button at the same time. It's worthless. 2 people push a button at the same time. It's worthless. Right. I agree. I'm throwing out ideas. Brainstorming.
That's how we get things done.
Next one, lunch program. You've heard this before. Nobody sits alone. This is a student initiative. Nobody sits alone.
I think that's a fantastic idea.
You see kids sitting alone, right? They're the loners. They're not, you always hear about these stories about the kids. They didn't know them, or they could have never guessed that they would have done this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Why? Because nobody made the effort inside the building as students themselves to get to know the kids that they're already hanging out with, right? How do you enforce that program? As a district, that's got to be a student initiative. But you have to have adults and parents. What? Here, bring it over. The program, it's a national program. We've heard of this before. Nobody eats alone. In this case, it's National No One Eats Alone Day, right? Why can't that be an everyday thing? Why can't that be an initiative that schools do inside themselves? Okay? Just an idea.
That's a good one.
Another one I heard. You talk about that one.
Gun sniffing dogs.
Go ahead, talk. I need a minute.
You need a minute? So this would be, I assume, training dogs to sniff for guns. We train them to sniff for drugs.
Literally for gunpowder,
gun residue, yeah.
Gun sniffing dogs. Someone brought this up to me. I saw when they initially put this idea up, they went and they posted a picture of a dog taking down an assailant. Okay, and it was, now mind you, if a guy's got a gun, what would a dog stand a chance was everybody's thing, right? But the guy with the gun has exactly 2, maybe 3 seconds to make that decision, because if he does it, the dog's already got him. Okay, I was amazed seeing some of the police dog videos. So that's an option.
Yeah, those dogs are highly trained.
They're expensive. I'm sure they're expensive.
They're more expensive than a hut.
It's actually the same cost as having an arm.
I would assume just like having a police officer, of course.
Are we talking instead of medical centers?
Either or both. All right.
It's like, I mean, somebody walks in a door at the building, even if the dog is there all the time, it's still the other way.
Sure. Sure. That's an option, though. Someone brought it up. I saw it online. Okay. Gun 7 dogs. Next one. Applying for grant funding to fund all this stuff in regards to private entities, venture capital funds, to create a actual fund specifically for school safety and setting that aside and designating that. Okay. It's an idea. How do you come up with it? I'm getting a head shake. What do you got?
You're talking about preventing violence in the school, but you're not talking about preventing violence in the school. You're talking about dealing with the violence once it's in school. What we need to do is prevent it from coming into the school. From regulating to controlling to mental health issues. You don't want to get to the point where you need a police officer. You don't need to get to the point where you need a dog and you need metal detectors and you don't want to need, you want to prevent.
I 100% agree. Right now, here we are. We're on Onion 1 right now. Onion is just the building. Okay? No, you got the bullet points. Here's the Onion. The first one is the school. Then we're getting into the drugs, mental health, and parenting is coming up. So I promise we're going to get there. Thank you for bringing it up. All right. She's keeping us honest. I love it. All right. So next one. We'll skip that. That was a story. I'm going to skip that.
Yeah, please do.
Hospital lockdown measures. Okay. Have you ever had a baby?
I have not.
Raise your hand if you raise your hand if you've had a baby. Raise your hand if you had a baby. Come on. Oh, you better put your hand up.
Didn't you set it off?
What? I did. How many times have you had a baby and then you have gone to take that baby for a walk and it's been in its crib and you've gotten too close to the doors and you set the alarms off? And what happened? And what happened? All of a sudden, lights are going everywhere. The doors all locked. Gates come down. Smoke goes off, all right? Somebody's got a baby by the door. Somebody's got a baby by the door, okay? These kind of technologies are available, okay?
Yep.
If you saw that school in Indiana, right now, the school in Indiana, when something like this happens, immediately when the school goes into lockdown mode, and the Reverend brought this up at the school board meeting, it's a $400,000 system. It's not cheap. But the first thing that happens is every door in the building locks electronically. The second thing that happens, and all those doors are bulletproof, and all the walls are cinder block. So at this point, the room itself is now locked. Okay. Hold on. I'm good. Go, Kate. Go, Kate.
Okay, so you have kids in the hall and bam, all the doors locked. Then what do the kids in the hall do?
I don't know what the kids in the hall do. They scatter, I guess. Well, no, there's more to it, right? So, no, there's more to it, right? When I was at Hoban back in the day, all right, it's been a few years, okay, we had doors and gates that came down, like automatically came down. They were electronic, okay? So hold on. Part of the school lockdown with that Indiana school is literally walls come down. So now what you've done is you've airlocked each one of the corridors. So now everything's literally locked down, okay? And then they've got, huh?
Then there's a fire.
Oh my gosh, stop. Or you're locked in that
Well,
one
yeah.
in the hall. But
Honestly, though, most of these schools are built self-contained fireproof now, right? I mean, they all have firewalls and they're all in cinder block and all that, right? So that would be the least of my concerns in that situation if a guy's walking around with a few guns, right? And then they got hot zones. So in addition to being locked and airlocked into the location and you can't get into any of the electronic doors, the hot zones literally blow down like DJ fog. And it fogs up the whole area and the guy can't see anywhere. I'm going to say guy. I'm going to say guy because I haven't seen a lady school shooter in a long time. Has there been one? Do we know? All right. The point is, the fog goes up, fog goes down, and at that point, they're being watched on infrared cameras by the police station, and they can't see anything, but the police know exactly where they're at, and now they're locked in the corridor. Okay. these technologies are currently available right now. It all comes down to, do we want to spend that money? And do they work?
Right.
But that particular school, if you want to look it up, bring it up if you would. It's in Indiana, so we can name the school so everybody can look at it. That was on what news? Was 60 Minutes? Was on 60 Minutes,
Yeah,
I think.
60 Minutes at
They
it.
had a special on it on 60 Minutes. It's a $400,000 system just for that, not including armed guards, not including
Batteries not included.
batteries not included, metal detectors not included. Okay, it's available. Do we want to spend that money? Okay, and the next one is the Night Scope. Have you guys seen the Night Scope? Anybody seen a Night Scope robot before?
No.
All right, so the Night Scope robot, look it up. Night Scope robot, see the price tag on that guy. Night Scope robots patrol the perimeter of a building. So a Night Scope is responsible for literally, it's an artificial intelligent robot that will walk around the perimeter of a building, and it's got cameras like Google on its head. So it literally is surveying the whole perimeter of the building at all times. It's out in the parking lot. It's wherever you want it to go. Okay? It literally has the ability to monitor and artificially identify using AI intelligence through facial recognition. How much is it? No. Night Scope. What? You got a smart aleck comment?
It's called Skynet.
It's called Skynet.
Wow.
Hey, woosah. Hey, but the question is how far, here's my question. It's a hard question, right? And I've been asking this. How far do we want to go? How important is the safety of your kid in that building? Because right now I'm just focused on the building. We're getting to the next onion in just a minute. Here we go. Another question.
So I was going to wait until you were done tabulating the cost of all of this.
Yep.
But
We're already at $750,000 per building.
the question of what are we willing to spend? I think we already have an answer to that, and it's called national defense.
Okay.
So I would be willing to bet that by the time we added all this up, you would be getting into the same conversations with folks with domestic defense, let's call it, that you would be in with national defense. And it's why do we have to spend all this money
Okay.
to protect ourselves?
I totally agree.
Right now, I think half the people in the room would probably stand up and say they don't agree with this spending for national defense. And yet we all live safely. So I think we need to take that into consideration when you talk about what are you willing to spend.
Okay.
Because there are some solutions, and I'm sure you're going to get into them, that don't have a price tag, that have a people tag, a cost of human effort.
Correct.
And when we get there, I think you have a whole lot better bang for the buck than you do at $750,000 per building times 400,000 buildings across the country.
That goes back to the resources of the school in terms of the people, right? Is that what you're referring to, or also at home as well?
And at home as well.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So on to our next onion. Is there anything I've left
miss
out
something?
as far as the buildings themselves? Do you have any ideas just on the physical building itself that can be done? Here we go.
No.
Physical building.
I'm all about a good solid. We should just build prisons, and we'll have Sally gates or Sally ports to allow people through. Big block walls. Nobody will ever be able to get through out. We got unlimited money. Why not? Unfortunately, we don't have unlimited money. We're super broke as a country.
Okay.
We're super broken in debt. So if in reality, coming up, we can, if we had all the money in the world to throw at it, we're in great shape. We don't have that.
We just don't.
Almost none of these options are a viable option just due to the money.
Okay.
If there was, I'm all about
I'm willing to accept that.
my kids being safe. I have 5 kids. I'm all about them being safe in school. I just don't see anything here that seems like a real viable option.
And that's the thing, right? We're brainstorming but what about the staffing? You don't agree with more counselors and more on-site personnel?
It comes down to money.
Right.
In my world, arming the teachers is the way to go.
Okay.
That's my personal opinion. Not all teachers, any teacher who wants to be armed,
Okay.
who wants to take the classes and do that. It's been proven over and over in multiple cases. Firstly, every school shooting is taking place in a gun-free zone. Every movie theater, these churches that are getting shot up, the tendency on those are the same way. Almost every mass shooting that there is on record is in a gun-free zone. I feel like just by the possibility that there's a teacher, shooter comes in and he's shooting up the crowd and the teacher shoots a gun, even if the teacher doesn't hit the person, the possibility that that distracts the shooter long enough for more students to get away from that gun is a win to me.
Okay. And would you agree though that would you prefer that people not know who they are?
Oh yeah, there's no reason for anybody. I mean, no student should know. No, I mean, if you're a teacher, you're concealed carrying. You have that gun concealed on you, either on your ankle, on your waist, whatever, however you want to do it. There's no reason for anybody else to know. It's just like the Air Marshals program. You know, you got people flying around with guns in the airplanes, and they are there to protect the people. I think that teachers like these teachers who laid down their life in Florida for their students by shielding them with their bodies, I look at the scenario where if they had a gun, it would have changed the situation.
Okay.
And same thing with the armed teachers, or armed police or sheriffs or whatever. Parkland was the same way. They had an armed guard who was, for whatever reason, I'm not going to debate that, but for whatever reason, chose to stay outside for 4 minutes while somebody was inside shooting up their students. I tend to think that most law enforcement officers wouldn't fall into that category. You know, I have nothing but pride for the Akron police and stuff. And there's the bulk of people I think are going to, in that scenario, are going to run to resolving the issue and not wait outside like what happened down there in Florida.
Yeah, and we all are speculating as to why. No, to date, have we been given a reason as to why?
There's been no
all
reason
kinds of
why.
speculation.
He resigned the next day, or
Right.
retired, took early retirement the next day,
Right.
because you know the thought is he knew he did some wrong.
Because when we deal with this topic specifically in the last week or so, that's the first thing that people yell back. There were guards there. There were armed guards there. And then the first thing that gets yelled back at them is, well, that wasn't a guard. They were a coward. Okay? And I've seen this conversation.
It was
happen.
a sheriff, and that's a different scenario than anything we deal with up here. They have 4 buildings and 3,200 students.
Yeah.
You know, the guy had to make it from one way. But what we do know is that when the police department pulled up down there were 3 sheriff's deputies outside, one of which was this school resource officer, plus 2 more waiting outside. And as soon as the police department got there, they immediately ran in to resolve the scenario.
Okay.
So,
all right. So thank you, Dan, for that. We appreciate it. Hey, folks, we're going to move on to our next onion now. Okay. So drugs and
Are
drug
bad.
culture.
Drugs are bad.
People brought this up, right? That here's what they brought up. Vaccinations. I hate even bringing that up, right? That was part of the discussion. Fluoride in water, fluoride, I guess, and the drug selling culture in regards to. But this is an onion, right? Should I skip this topic?
I think you can skip it.
But somebody brought it up, right? That part of it is the drug culture itself in regards to encouraging kids having guns, because a bunch of the Akron safety officers have confiscated guns from kids that had been involved with some sort of drug culture within the schools, and that was brought up. So I figure I would just throw it out there as an onion. Does anybody have anything to say on that, on the drug culture? Come on up to the.
That drug goes back like kind of to like the family issue. It's like how they're brought up in the household is the parents don't care about the kids are growing off doing random things, and that's how they find the drugs from other people. That's how kind of like school shootings happen. They get in the wrong type of business because they don't have a good lifestyle with their parents at home. They find a friend with a gun, say like, oh, this is cool, we'll put in a pocket, show the kids at school, and that's how they start shooting and stuff. So,
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to move on from drugs in. Our next onion, we'll come back to mental. Oh, man. That's a big onion.
Yeah.
We'll come back to mental health. All right. Let's do parenting. Let's do parenting. Okay. Here we go. Is your D over here? Is your D, big D?
No, I
D goes,
missed it.
she goes, you think parenting is going to be a smaller onion than mental health?
No.
All right. So here we go. Parenting. All right.
No.
So parenting.
We're all great parents, right?
Did she leave? Did Yoli check out? Okay, all right. So here we go, parenting.
We'll do it live.
Discipline. Here, you ready? I'm going to throw these out there. You guys ready?
Yep.
Pay attention. I'm going to go fast, and then we'll come back to them, right?
You want me to go through them?
Yes, please do.
All right, let's go.
Do it slowly.
That was a lot.
All right, go ahead. You're up.
All right. So you have discipline
Yep.
and consequences.
What? Say it again.
Parenting and discipline and consequences.
Discipline and consequences.
Parenting styles are on trial.
Okay. Get rid of Satan.
Satan can leave.
Parenting styles. How many parents have felt attacked in the last 3 weeks? As far as
I think every parent
in
has.
terms of their parenting. Has any parent here felt attacked in the last 3 weeks?
If you haven't done something wrong, you feel attacked, and it's for a reason. If you don't feel attacked, you've done
No. I'm talking when I'm in these discussions with people and they say, well, parents all suck nowadays. Has anybody seen that anywhere? Am I the only one that's seen that?
It's
'Cause of my-
very prevalent.
Because of my volatile feed. I don't worry about my parenting. What I worry
Moon
about
Man,
is
here-
the first thing that people say right now when we talk about this is your parents all suck nowadays. That's what I see. Okay, I've seen it everywhere. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry, I talked too much.
No, you're good. You're good. So then we have charge parents as an accessory.
Charging parents is an accessory if their gun is involved in a crime.
If they failed to lock it up, right?
Right
That
now
makes- that makes perfect sense.
we're in green.
Yep.
We are 10 minutes, 15 minutes from Jackson.
Yep.
The owners of the guns
Right.
have a
The
responsibility.
gun owner has a very, very
Okay.
big responsibility.
Should parents get charged in those situations? But if the shooting occurs and it's a kid, should the parent get charged?
So if little Billy knows where the key is to the lockbox, gets the key, opens the lockbox, get the gun, loads it, or unless it's loaded already, and they go out and commit a crime, you're saying that the parent should be charged.
Should what? Okay. What about how many parents here?
standard for this. We charge parents when they get kids drunk. Why would
True.
We charge parents when one of their possessions kills other people.
But do they? Do we know?
They're supposed to be. That's the
I could
policy.
pick locks when I was 16.
Right.
Yeah.
But then I don't know. I mean, that's a question, guys. What do we do?
I think it's all situation dependent. You can't, not every situation is going to be the same.
Where are you guys on? Where are you on right now? If first of all, who out here teaches their kids how to shoot? Who teaches their kids how to shoot? Okay. Huh? We will be. He's. It's happening at Easter. You just don't know yet. Okay.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Kate, shake your head.
Oh, man.
The question is, should we, as parents, responsibly teach our kid how to handle a gun? Right? That's a good question.
It's a situation thing, but in our household, we've discussed to do it because I don't know if you're going to get a hold of somebody else's gun.
As of right now, I wouldn't trust either one of my children with a handgun of any kind.
What?
I'm dead serious.
Go ahead.
Do you have a gun in the home?
No,
Then the likelihood of them getting a hold of a gun in your home is what?
0.
Okay. Do you know the children that they hang around with?
Yes,
Is the likelihood of them getting a hold of a gun at one of their houses higher?
very slim.
Very
Slimmer.
So you're aware.
Mhm.
So that goes back to my point of
All
starting
part of
at home
parenting.
and saying, hey, you got to know. You
Mhm.
got to know the 50 feet around you and your kids
Right,
so that you can make the appropriate decisions.
right. And as a
That goes
parent,
back to the parenting question of do parents suck? Half of them, a quarter of them, some portion of them suck in that manner.
Okay.
And that's where we do need to start addressing that.
right,
You need a license to drive a car. You need a license to fly a plane. You need a license to do all these things. And we have a lot of people, not to vote though.
not to vote.
You need a,
What, a license to vote?
No, they don't ask for
he
it.
said not to. You don't
Not
need
to
a
vote?
license to vote.
You're not required to have a license to vote.
Right. Just proof of.
It's a reoccurring theme here.
But I think as a parent,
as a parent, you don't have to have any credentials to become a parent.
no.
Right.
So what has that led us to? It's
Right.
led us to a whole lot of situations where you got a kid that by no fault of his own is in a really bad place in a really bad way. And then they act out. How many kids does it take to act out to become an epidemic like we're dealing with?
Right.
20? 20 in a country of how many millions of children? So doesn't take much. I think that's a big part of where I think we need to focus our energy.
Okay. So, and we've talked about this. You and I have talked about this specifically. Go ahead. Hey, come on now. Get up here.
So here's where I'm at with this. I did not want to teach my children how to use a gun. I didn't, but I looked at it this way. We have guns on our property. They are locked. Our children do not know where they are. They do not know where the ammo is. But if my child is at someone else's house and they come across a gun or somebody else introduces it to them, I can only help my child with the knowledge. If they come across it, I want my kid to know that that's not safe, what that can do, that can hurt someone, and I want them to not be curious. I want them to feel secure to come to me and ask me those questions, to have those answers. It's not like we go out on the weekend and shoot up guns because it's fun. It is a complete safety thing and awareness thing for my children. And both my kids have seen it. Both of my children, even my youngest, have seen a gun. He has not shot yet, but it will come a day. Just because I can control the knowledge of my child. I can't control other people's children and other people's parenting.
Correct.
Yep.
I totally agree with
true
that.
statement.
Now, then you and I had this statement before between us, and I think we both said the same thing, and that's gun control begins at the dinner table. And that's where the education comes in as far as, how do you teach your kids about guns? How do you teach them what they are? How do you responsibly educate that?
Right. So there was a part of this conversation 10 minutes ago. We were talking about, hey, those 5, 10, 20, 30 seconds, what do they mean to the safety when they're in a building and they're in lockdown and things like that? How many times do you hear in one of these events where somebody says, I heard it and it sounded like a firecracker? Why did it sound like a firecracker to them? Because they have no idea what a gunshot sounds like. They're not aware. So they stand there, they're wide open, they're defenseless, they're unaware of the clear and present danger that another child that may have some experience, because they're knowledgeable, is the word you used, as to that was a gunshot and I need to take cover.
And I wish I didn't have to teach my child. Like, it was a hard parenting thing. I did not want to teach my child that. But in this society, I need them to be aware.
Nobody wants, we would all like to wish away to having to teach our kids stranger danger, right? Nobody wants to have to confront that. It's a reality of our society. This is too. So we have to educate our children so that they can respond appropriately and they can protect themselves and protect the people around them. It starts at home, as you said.
Well, and again, that leads into the next topic, which is single parent homes. And do we provide those resources to a single parent home to be able to help them as best we can as a society? First of all, I know there's some single parents that are here tonight. Let's give them a round of applause. Single parent round of applause right now, because their job, for all of you out there right now that have kids, they've got 5, they've got 6, they've got 4, we've got 4, you've got 2, you've got 2.5. For all
Wow.
they've got 2. For all of us that have kids out there, right? Imagine doing that by yourself. For everyone here that's got 3, 4, 5, 6 kids, now do that alone, okay? This is part of that discussion. Do we provide the resources available in society for single-parent homes to be able to have these kind of conversations and to provide them educational resources in order to do that, okay? For example, let's say we want to talk about teaching a kid how to shoot a gun. Maybe mom's not comfortable doing it. So have a resource officer visit the home and say, hey, here's what we do. This is how to handle a gun if you run across it, if it's in the street, if you find it at your friend's house, etc. Are these options that we could build into the schooling? Are these options we can build in as to resources that are available in our current structure? How do we do that? Okay. I just wrote down a pamphlet on gun education. Is that something that the school could send home to all of their families? Like, how do you talk about guns with your kids? Is that an option? Next thing, technology-free zones. How many times do you have your kids put away their tablets or their cell phones during the course of the day and actually have interactive discussions with each other or with you as parents? Is this something that we need to take a look at? When you hear about these kids that are doing these things, they are isolated. They're on their own. They feel alone. They're depressed. Why? What kind of interactions are they getting? And with whom? And how do you encourage those interactions to occur? These are part of the discussion. Another one I'm going to bring up, which is going to kind of surprise you. Pornography. What? How does that fit into this discussion? I noticed the whole bar over there looked.
It got real quiet in here.
Pornography, okay? Sorry. Do a crash or something, right? How does that fit into this talk? Well, what does pornography do? It turns us men and women into objects. It objectifies us, right? Whether or not, whatever you believe from a spiritual standpoint, what pornography does is it provides you a means to an end, and it allows you to dive deeper into that single, on your own experience. You don't need someone. You don't need to interact with people, right? Is that part of the parenting discussion? How many of us as fathers have caught our son looking at something they shouldn't, whether it be on the computer or on the tablet? How many of us? Go ahead, raise your hand. Not me. I'll raise my hand. What? I'll raise my hand too for me doing it, right? Okay. How many moms have caught their kid? I mean, it's universal. And it's one of those things. You look around the room right now and everybody's doing this. Everybody's shifting. You know why? Because it's an uncomfortable topic. It's something we don't want to talk about. But it's part of the discussion. It objectifies a human being down to the base level. So now when you're walking through a school, you're not looking at them as your brother or your sister. You're looking at them in a different way. It reduces the thought process. Okay? That's part of the discussion. Go ahead.
I would expand that beyond pornography to pop culture.
Okay.
True.
As far as your Victoria's Secret catalog.
Not even in the terms
I
of-
was shocked at that. We got one of those, and I almost fell out of my chair. I'm like, this is what this looks like nowadays. Like, my son got the mail, and he's like, hey, Dad, look. I'm like, okay.
I wouldn't even isolate it to sexuality. I would isolate it to idolatry and what comes along with, again, you spoke to spirituality of worshiping something other than.
Yep.
So I think pornography is a worship of something other than, as is many things that we glorify in pop culture. So I think that, again, that starts at home in making sure that even if your child is involved in, this YouTube sensation or this video game or this anything that's popular in the moment, that they understand where it fits, that they understand what it is, that there is no humanity in those associations, that you are looking at something on a screen, you're looking at something on a picture. You don't have the same approach to pop culture as you do to your spirituality or whatever it is that you want to call it. And you have to have those conversations. You have to be able to tell the difference. Because if you cannot, that's where these kids, I think, can become, I don't want to even say confused, but just normalized.
What's your take on horror movies and that kind of thing in terms of age? Wouldn't you expose a kid to that? Well, when do you allow that?
My youngest daughter was watching horror movies at 6 years old, and she's the most well-adjusted kid I know.
Okay, and
we had the conversation.
Right.
We had the conversation.
Well, see, I'm biased because I'm afraid.
She loved the shock, the jump.
I'm afraid of horror movies, and Kate loves them, and it's an issue in our own house, right? So, all right. So thank you, Jay. I'm gonna put him on the spot real quick. Buzz. Buzz is also in his other 330 career. He's a youth pastor. So right now, why don't you come on up to the mic, and I want you to speak on that topic in regards to what we just discussed.
Yeah, I think kind of the point that we're getting to is to kind of desensitizing our students and our youth, right? So we see pop culture, we see pornography, we see separating humanity and the screen, right? We're connected to the screen so much that through the tablet, through a phone, and we visualize our interactions, and we even tend to the students I see place them on higher levels. And so when it comes time for an engagement, and they're separated at one spot with other students or with other people together, is that relationship so severed, so far away taken? Are they so far removed that they just want to eliminate it completely? Is that part of it? I don't know if that's the answer. But to that point is that we see the relationship breakdown, right? And so it's the relationship of the students with each other, with their teachers. What are we doing? I think the point that we're kind of dancing around is, what are we doing to build and to enforce and to repair relationships that are broken among students when we see them broken down? And if we can do that, if we start to look to the home, look to what we're allowing in our schools, what we're allowing our students, our kids to view, is it media, watching what they're watching on the media, watching what they're on their tablets, is it there? So to see how we are building relationships with each other, because that's where I think it all stems.
Thank you. I'm gonna, folks. My feed was backwards, so I'm gonna catch up right now. We've had a bunch of comments online. I'm gonna share those with you guys right now. Josh said the students of Florida knew that kid wasn't right in the head. Knowing the kids is a joke. That was back previously. Ryan, first time tuning in. The topic caught my attention. Okay, there's Ryan. We got Ryan. I don't believe that they have that in Coventry. He was talking about the schools having their own policies like that, what we discussed earlier. Ryan also said Akron policy is school reverse officers in all middle and high school. Okay, reserve officers in all those schools. Let's see what else we got. We've got Sarah. Raise it. How much was it raised for the Vegas shooting victims? Raise the money. Okay. How about passing levies so that they can be funded? This was back earlier. Okay. Annette. I remember doing drills for possible bomb sheltering in place back in the 50s and 60s, as far as potential atomic bomb drills. This would be good. Let's see, Annette. Kelly, I think kids learning gun safety from competent parents is very important. However, not all kids are mature enough. So make sure your kids are mature before you have that discussion. Scott said, I was at a friend's house, and he had an unloaded hand revolver casually on the kitchen table. His 4-year-old grabbed it and was wanting to play with the parents, and they made him cry. So again, these are all decision points, right? Folks, I'm sorry I had the feed upside down, so now I'll pay attention to what you guys are saying. That was my bad.
Oops.
Yeah, oops. Next one. And this is a topic that Dan brought up earlier, okay? Standardized aging. The whole age thing for us is all a confusing topic. And that is, all right, you ready? So you got to be 16 to drive. You got to be 18 to serve in the military and to vote without an ID. And then you got to be 21 to drink, and then you got to be 25 to rent a car. So for some reason, those all have reasons they exist. Why? Why don't we standardize an age? Can't we just pick one? Could it be 21 for everything? Driving at 21, renting a car at 21? I don't know. Temps from 16 to 21? I don't know. What's the thought process? What's your guys' take on the age thing? Anybody got an opinion on age restrictions or requirements? Somebody besides Jason. Jason's been talking a lot. We love you, Jason. Thank you. But someone besides Jason have an opinion on age thing, and then we'll have Jason come up. Anyone? What's your take? Come on up.
Don't be shy.
What? He's whispering. Come on, you got something? 16, 18, 21, 25. Anybody? Come on.
It's all in the child. Like, I can look at this, and I've got a 6 and a 10-year-old, and I can tell you right now, I am terrified to hand my 6-year-old a car at 16 because he's not going to be mature enough. It like, I know personally I was a mature woman, I would say, but I don't feel that my brain clicked in to make mature decisions till I was about 25. And the decisions I made between 25 and 27, I think started to make sense. So I don't think that the 18, 16, 21, 25 thing matters. It is in the child. It is in, I don't think that needs to be put in the parents, because sometimes your child is more mature than the parents are when they turn 18.
How do we do that, though? Like right now, our daughter is 16. She could drive, but she has no interest, nor do we think that it's a good idea.
Exactly. It's in the parent.
Kate,
I don't
Kate,
feel you can put a proper age on it.
Kate
I
is
really
still
don't.
recovering from her last bout of whiplash, just training. And we go to the parking lot, St. Paul's parking lot over West Akron. All right, Jason, come on out, man. I didn't mean to shut you down, but and again, I love your opinion. I just don't want people to think that,
Very simple statement. I think that we have to come to the realization that we have become a much softer culture in the last couple of generations, and we need to readdress what maturity really is. And we need to adjust these rights appropriately.
What, cell phones?
Well, you add technology.
I think we need to come to terms with that and say we are a
sorry.
softer culture than we
Say it
were.
again. 16-year-olds are not like they were 20 years ago.
You added when I was, and I'm not that old.
They behave differently. They think differently.
I didn't have this when I got it when I was 17, but it was around that age when it came out.
Okay.
The maturity of a 16-year-old is not the same as the maturity 20 years ago. They're now entitled. They're now have technology.
Social development has been switched into a lower gear. We need to address it, and we need to consider what these rights, because this is what these are, rights, right? They're all rights.
They don't see them as rights and responsibilities.
They're
privilege. I deserve this. I've got the right to
Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Big D. All right, so I'm going to address Kelly. Kelly's live right now, tuned in. Thank you, Kelly, for being a friend of the show. I believe Kelly was one of our winners of our Acme gift card giveaway.
Yep.
Kelly said, what are your thoughts on kids doing this right now for attention? Killers are plastered all over the news when they do these things, and then their name lives down in infamy. Okay? So what I'm going to do, that finished our parenting part. Old business. Does anybody have anything left to say on the parenting part? Because I'm going to move to the next part, and Kelly will catapult us into that. That's the role of the media, okay? The role of the media in these situations. So Kelly brought it up. Good segue. And Jennifer saying, can the people on the mic speak up? Yeah. Well, Jennifer, everyone is following the rules and walking up to the mic except for Dee over here in the audience, and she's talking from a distance. So Jennifer has requested, please go to the microphone. All right, so here's our topics on the media. You ready? 24/7. I'm sorry. You're not talking enough.
No, I'm kind of taking this all in.
All right,
Because
so go ahead. What you do, go ahead and every time we switch topics, you go ahead and you list them all out, and then we'll cover them.
All right. So the media, we've got 24/7 coverage, agendas, desensitization, turning the shooter into a story, and then obviously YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, etc.
Hot takes, media coverage. What do you got? It's all about the story.
What'll bring them ratings?
What else? Bring in the ratings. Can I get this on Facebook? Can I get this on Instagram? Can I get this on YouTube? Can I become an internet sensation overnight without having to work?
I want my 15
Why am I
seconds
doing this?
of fame.
Because we are building a platform. We want to eventually make money doing this. And honestly, we're pretty damn good at it, so we're going to make money eventually, right? So, yeah, that's all part of the media. But the question is, we are pretty. Hey, I didn't hear any applause. Are we good at what we do?
I don't know.
Good at
Are
what
we?
we do? Are we good at what we do? Oh. Anyway,
crickets.
And we're still babies. We're infants in this industry, right? But it's not about me. This is not about me. This is about the topic, right? So the question is, what's the responsibility in the media in this? Okay, 24/7 news cycles, round the clock. What is your take? Should I put Christine on the spot? She hasn't talked yet.
Breaking news.
No, she
Breaking
said no.
news.
We got breaking news. What? What's breaking news?
Breaking
That's
news.
what it is.
Oh,
I'm
breaking
cutting
news.
in with breaking news.
Hey,
Oh, nice
Eyes on
job.
me.
Well done.
Show of hands. Show of hands. How many people are tired of seeing the words breaking news on CNN? I mean, seriously. It's gotten to the point where they don't have normal news. Like every day, and part of that you could say is the things that are going on, and I'm not going to get into politics right now, okay? It's also bias, okay? I have a question. Hey, Fox News guys, does Fox do breaking news every half hour? Breitbart people? What does it do they say breaking news every half hour? They do that too?
I think every news network does this.
I mean, we're at the point where there's no more breaking news because it's all breaking news.
No, but it's the same topic over and over again. That's breaking news.
Okay.
It's
Media
just you
has
have
an
a new
agenda for
person
ratings.
on.
That's from
It's-
Annette.
It's
That's very, very
so-and-so's
true.
Hour, so the topic from last hour is breaking news at the top of their hour.
Right, right. How many of you folks out there feel that the news has gotten us to a point where we're completely desensitized to violence? That coupled with video game morphosis.
Oh my goodness.
Did I just say video games? No,
You
I just
did.
went- I didn't. I just went video game. How many people still love playing GoldenEye on Bond? I tell all the kids how to play it.
I
And
believe
Dad-
you've just shown your age
But Daddy,
right now.
Daddy has to win. Okay, Daddy has to win. All right. Based on the age I'm seeing out there, I'm guessing a bunch of us grew up with Doom and Wolfenstein. Kevin's a little younger. We grew up with Doom. We grew up with Wolfenstein. First person, the first Call of Duty,
Call of
the initial Call of
Duty.
Duty. Like we were all originals, right? Bond, GoldenEye, broke. And this is segueing us into video games. I didn't mean to do that yet.
No, that's all right.
All right. So, video games are part of this discussion, right? We played, Sega. We played Nintendo. And
Yeah.
Nintendo wasn't necessarily violent, but it showed you killed stuff, right?
Right.
And then really, I think it all started with Sega and PlayStation. Okay.
Mhm.
When I look at the way that video games have evolved, the first one I blame for doing what we're experiencing now was Mortal Kombat. Do you guys remember playing Mortal Kombat for the first time? With Scorpion and Sub-Zero, and all of a sudden now you're ripping out a guy's spine and it's holding a head in its hand. Okay? You remember Mortal Kombat for the first time?
Is that why
was
there's
it
a-
Scorpion?
Is that
Huh?
that with the skull right on the
That's
table? right?
this is Scorpion. Remember Scorpion? Remember Scorpion? This was Scorpion. He would tear up his mask and he'd have the skull, and he would blow fire on you, and you would incinerate, right? Okay. And then it went from there. It was Mortal Kombat, and it was Street Fighter.
Yep.
Remember Street Fighter? Yeah, where they would split the guy in half. Remember was it Raiden? Raven? Raiden. Okay.
Raiden.
Now look where our video. Have you guys raise your hand if you have an Xbox or a PlayStation out there? Kevin, no? Huh? You sold us. All right, Xbox, PlayStation. Hey, Corey, come on up here real quick. Corey, come on up here. You're old enough to be here.
Uh-oh.
Your parents won't talk, so I'm gonna bring you up.
He's not moving quick.
Folks, we have a college student in house. He is a member of the Ohio State University. He's actively there right now.
Ohio State.
He's all excited, right? They just made the tournament. Ohio State's now relevant in basketball again. Round of applause out there. OH. All right, so Corey, I want your take right now. Now you have had an opportunity. You're like us, right? You've had an opportunity to grow up with all old school video games that me and your pops played growing up. So you played all those, and now here we are. We're in the new generation of Grand Theft Auto, and the new Call of Duties, and the new Halos, and the new Street Fighters, and the new Mortal Kombats. Give me your take. You're old. You're a college student, right? What's your take on how video games have changed over the years and where they're at in society right now? Because I know you're an active player.
Did I talk to Mike?
Yeah. No, you're. By the way, guys, Corey is 6 foot. 6'3". We'll say 6'4". Corey's a tall guy. Okay, well, us short guys, we got the mic all lowered for us, so we'll turn it up. You're fine. Go ahead.
So I talking to Mike?
Just they can hear you. Yeah. We hear you right now.
All right. Well, obviously they've gotten a lot better in terms of like graphics. You said not talking.
You're fine. You're fine.
So they've obviously gotten a lot better in terms of graphics and the smoothness of the gameplay. I love video games. I play all the violent ones, GTA, Call of Duty. If you're asking, like, do you think there's a link between the stuff we were just talking about?
Not necessarily a link. Right now, I was focused on desensitization to violence.
Okay. Well, I would actually connect that with the amount of media coverage that every single separate event gets.
Okay.
Because we see it almost every day now, so we've just kind of become numb to it. So.
Okay. What about what really got me? I had never played Grand Theft Auto before.
Right.
This was maybe 5-6 years ago.
Right.
And my nephews had it, and it was Grand Theft Auto like 3.
Okay.
Okay. And I went and I sat and I watched them play.
Right.
And the stuff that I saw in that game
Oh, that's crazy.
was
Have you seen GTA 5, the latest one?
I have not.
Okay, it's from whatever you saw, it's gotten like 5 times worse. So, it's crazy. It's fun if you.
but when I'm talking, here's what I saw. I saw, as far as the hits where you get a person down on their knees and you pop them in the back of the head and you see everything blow up, and then you go and you collect your money, and then you go around the corner and you buy a lady,
right?
And then you go into a car somewhere and stuff happens, right? This is on the video.
Yeah.
All right.
Horrible.
So how do we can't reverse that. So how do we? I mean, where does this play a role? What do you guys think? Does this play a role in this topic? Is this part of the discussion in regards to our that word is so hard.
Desensitization.
Desensitization to violence.
I think Jan said it best on the comments.
What did Jan say?
Video games are viewed through the eyes of the attacker, not through the eyes of the victim.
This can desensitize the player. Video games. Wow, Jan.
That's spot on.
Do we have Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy? That deserves that one. Folks, round of applause for Corey for me putting him on the spot right there.
Thanks, Corey.
So Jan said the video games are viewed through the eyes of the first-person shooter as opposed to being viewed through the eyes of the victim.
Think of that for a second.
That's an interesting statement, but not if I'm playing, because if I'm playing somebody like Corey, I'm dying every 30 seconds. so if you're a first person in like a Halo game or something, right? So interesting. Good point, Jan. Thank you for that. Anybody else have anything on that topic before we go on? Anybody? All right, moving on. All right, so we covered video games, we covered the media. All right, now we're on to some hot buttons. So the next 2 topics are mental health and guns themselves. What do you want to do first? Second, mental health?
Mental health.
All right, mental health. Okay, guys, here we go. This is a tough one, and that is mental health. Where does mental health play a role in this? And the problem with that is, what is mental health? And how do we define that? And where do we define it? And what resources do we use to handle that? Okay. Go ahead and go through all the topics.
All right.
It's ridiculous.
Identification, care, psychotropic drugs.
Psychotropic, yep.
Okay. Brain health.
Psychotropic.
Thanks, Moonman. Brain health. HIPAA disclosure requirements. Assuming they are crazy. Most mental illness incorporates withdrawal. 43 million are diagnosed. Majority receive little or no treatment.
Go ahead and pause on that. Okay,
Pause.
folks, I was at a show last week. I was at a conference, and it was up at the Cleveland Clinic at their Global Innovation Center. And there was a presenter for the Plug and Play event, and they're looking to get funded for their new technology. And they said they had 2 statements in terms of numbers. 43 million people are diagnosed with some sort of a mental health condition, and majority of those do not receive any sort of treatment. 43 million people are diagnosed with a health illness and do not get treatment. Okay? That's right now. 300 million people suffer from depression and are not treated for it. That's incredible. When you look at those 2 stats, okay, just those 2 stats alone, that is why we're dealing with some of these issues, right? What else we got?
We've got psychological barriers that result in isolation, lack of local services, together space group therapy, only male shooters, and Talkspace Unlimited Messaging Therapy, a private HIPAA-compliant chat room. Therapy begins the same day as a connection. They use AI and machine learning pay to play.
Has anybody ever heard? I lost my mic, I think, or my headset.
Yeah.
Has anybody ever heard of Talkspace or TogetherSpace? Have you ever heard of Talkspace or TogetherSpace?
I have never heard of it.
Talkspace and TogetherSpace are resources that exist right now as platforms where you can go to be a part of a group therapy session online with other people that groups you based on your location, and you eventually meet in person. So right now, TogetherSpace, you log in, you can become a part of a community, you share your thoughts online, and you eventually start meeting in terms of group therapy. Talkspace is done one-on-one, where there are national people on standby that are ready to deal with any kind of condition that you may want to talk about right now. It's called Talkspace. Do we make these resources available for our kids? The answer is no. Hey, Moonman, we're getting a lot of mic feedback because they moved it, I think. Can we turn around or something? There we go. All right, so that's fine. That's cool. All right, so the point is, because of HIPAA requirements, HIPAA requires people to not be able to have their stuff exposed, right? Because of that, kids are not allowed to use Talkspace. Talkspace requires you to pay money. It's a service. You can meet with a counselor online, but you can't do it if you're a kid. Number one, you got to have a credit card to be able to charge immediately, and you have to be over 18. Okay? Why can we not create something like that for our kids? Is that an option? Talkspace for kids. How would that be regulated? I don't know. These are ideas, okay? What else, folks? What is your take on mental health in terms of being a part of this? What's your take on it? Anybody got a take? What's your take, right? You've been quiet, man. I've been talking too much. Go ahead.
I am enjoying everyone's perspective.
Why don't you go ahead and just kind of review where we're at right now. Talk about some of the topics and where you've had opinion that you haven't shared yet.
So we're talking about mental health. I feel that it's all true. I mean, you've got 43 million people that are diagnosed, and the majority receive little or no treatment. 300 million people suffer from depression, and that's insane, but guess what? It's true. People don't talk about their problems. They bottle them up. They keep them to themselves. They get so bent out of shape that they act out. They lash out.
We're kind of taught that as men from the time we're like 3.
And I think that's crap. I know that we're taught that, but I honestly think that that's half the problem, is that we were taught to react a certain way when we were kids. Like as a man, I was told by my father that I should never cry, that men don't cry.
And how are men supposed, as a boy, how are you supposed to handle a bully? When we were growing up, what were we told to do with bullies?
You handled it.
How do you handle it?
You took them outside and you handled business.
Well, Kate's gonna laugh at this. Kate's gonna laugh at this. Let's see here. Yeah, we're talking about bullying right now, Jan. Thank you. I was small. Part of the reason that I'm such an arrogant jerk sometimes is because I was a tiny little kid and I had to mouth off. My only defense. What?
Wow.
Wow,
that's good.
Friend of the show.
That's
Friend of the show, Denise just asked if I'm checking into counseling right now.
Do we need to get the couch out?
Hold on, what? Jamie commented. No, listen. I was a small kid, right? So my only defense, my defense mechanism was to talk them down, right? That's where my voice comes from. I was Napoleon. I was the definition of Napoleon.
Wow.
So the point is, what did he say? What'd he say back there, Kevin? Kevin, why don't you come up to the mic, man? You haven't talked in a while. You haven't talked all night. Kevin's over there.
He's staring at his phone. He doesn't
You
want
get
part of it.
nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
I was small, okay? Now listen. I was an 8th grader, and Kevin Ferchura was a 6th grader, and I was mouthing off to him, and he literally beat me up against the mailbox. I was like 2 grades older than this kid, and he beat me up because we were off school property. We had crossed the crosswalk. The point,
Wow.
and Jonas, I remember Jonas picked me up, and he choked me out. Like he was like 8 feet tall, and he just choked me and threw me to the ground. So I was bullied a lot, right? And Brant Brant gave me a DDT. I actually got a DDT on the playground. It was, I was out. I was out for about 2 or 3 minutes unconscious. So the point is, what we're taught though as young men or kids, male kids growing up,
Right.
and I'm not speaking for Jason, but Jason's kid is kind of a tough guy. I mean, he does like 25 sports, and he's a wrestler and a baseball player, and he's like really good too, right?
Okay.
So the point is, we teach our young men to kind of be tough, right? And it's this mentality. It's a John Wayne, like if you're dealing with a bully, you go punch him in the face, right?
Right.
Okay. But now, what?
Give him the old throat punch.
Yeah, give him a throat punch. All right. But now, here we go, and now we're talking about mental health. We're talking about mental health issues, and now all of a sudden it turns into, okay, well, that kid's bullied, and he's now going to somebody to get help, and now he's weak. And that's why a lot of these kids don't seek help, because they're being viewed as weak.
Right.
Okay? I'm going to read a comment from Jamie. Jamie just tuned in. Jamie tuned in, and Jamie commented, friend of the show. And Jan had a good one. Jan pointed out that this mental health issue is a big. It's not Jan. It's not just a layer of the onion. It's an entire onion on itself. Does it make you uncomfortable when I shake these like this? Are you okay with that? Okay. All right. So here we go.
Wow.
So, Jan, the mental health issue is a layer of that onion that ties in with the bullying and the lonely students. What are you doing? She took my onions away. You can't do that. No, wait. You crossed the show barrier.
We'll do it live.
God, she can't do that.
Bruh.
That's against the protocol. Whoa. I get one onion.
Wrong, sir. Wrong.
Wait. Time out. My whole family is Irish besides me. I have to make corned beef. What are you doing? What are you doing now? No. I'm not allowed to cut it. He said, the producer said, look at.
Wow.
Hey, you want to trade? Do you want to just come up here? Do you want to come up here? You sure? Just take my phone. Oh, wow. I need a Wusa timeout or something. So the point is, I'm using these onions in our corned beef and cabbage stuff on Saturday for St. Patrick's Day, because I'm the only. No, we'll do it Sunday, right? We're making it. Do it Sunday.
I'm just living the dream.
God, we are so far. How did we end up in the weeds? All right, so
we'll do it live.
She took my onions away. All right, so Jan's like, it's a bag of onions, right? And I shook them, right? All right, so Jamie comments. A comment from Jamie. Can I read that?
I can read it.
Are you on it?
Yeah, I got it.
You go ahead.
Mental health is like the flu. Some people get through it quickly. They can manage it. They know what they need to do to get healthy again. Some people, it completely knocks them out. They need a lot of help, time, whatever to get past it. Plus, like the flu, you can get strand after strand, all different symptoms. What we need are strong immune systems, strong mental health to start with. So the question is, how do we stay in the preventative stage?
Round of applause for Jamie. Round of applause for Jamie.
That's good.
The hardest thing to do when you're talking about mental health, it's just like alcoholism. It's just like pornography addiction. And that is admitting that you have a problem. And that the majority of us don't do it. We don't seek help. We don't ask for help. One of the hardest things that I've ever done on this, we're as friend of show, Mrs. H over there has pointed out, we're building a platform here on social media. That's what we're doing with this, right? It's all part of our show. We're building a platform. Eventually, we're going to be known like Mike and Mike. It's going to take some time, right? The point is, did I just say that out loud?
Wow.
The point is, one of the hardest things I've ever done on Facebook was about 2 years ago, maybe 2.5. It was like I was new to Facebook. I didn't know how this whole thing worked. I just lost my job. We had no income. We were heading into the winter. I had no gigs coming up. We had no source of income at all. And I had already tapped all my resources in terms of asking help from friends or parents or anything like that. And what I said? I went on Facebook and I said, folks, I don't even know where to start. Please pray for us. I don't even know how to make a living anymore right now because I was out of work. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever done, but it was one of the most enlightening ones as well. Because what happened was I had an entire church community rallied around Team Forrester. It was crazy. It was totally overwhelming. All of a sudden, I had this support structure that I didn't even know existed, and it was just because I reached out for help. Okay? One of the biggest things that we need to do as parents and as individuals ourselves is when there is that need for help, you need to let people know. We have a tendency to cocoon and we turtle up, shell up, whatever you want to say. And we are prideful. We are prideful as a society. We don't ask people for help. And that's something we all need to work on. And now the next question is, how do we teach that to our kids? How do you teach that to your 10 through 20-year-old? Because let's be honest, I almost went, Kate, I almost went pitch perfect on that. Let's be honest, okay? Those are the kids that are in the soup. Those are the ones that are dealing with the heavy-duty issues, right? What? It's what? Go to the mic.
It's not the kids, it's the parents.
Keep going.
So Johnny comes home and something's happened at school, and I'm too busy to listen to his story, and he keeps trying to tell me about so-and-so who bullied him or did this or did that, and I keep brushing him off until he gets to the point where he realizes I can't tell mommy anything, and he goes into his own cocoon. So we have become too busy to recognize signs as parents.
Why are we too busy?
Life.
Why? No, let's expand on that. That's a good point.
Social media, we're always.
Why are we too busy?
I think it just depends, because if you're looking at a parent who has multiple jobs to keep their family afloat, they're constantly on the run, and the time that they get as downtime they want to take for themselves. So it gets to the point where it's like, I'm doing everything I can for my family. I need some time for me. But the problem is, at the point in time where you're getting your time for me, your kid's like, tons of information, and you just don't want to hear it. So we miss it as parents.
Mrs. H, you want to expand on that? You're shaking your head. Come on. Come, you got to come up with her. You got. No, on the mic. Come on, with her. Kate. Yes, Kate, stay up with her. Kate.
All right. I'm seriously just figuring this out right now.
Well, first of all,
my oldest.
Here, truth be told, your oldest is a little
just
younger,
turned
right?
13.
All right. So this is kind of a new thing for you in terms of you're just now getting into that time set.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what I'm learning from counsel, from friends and counselors, literally, is that if your kids are depressed or having problems, it's probably because there's something wrong with you. And so you have to fix you first. So everyone really just needs to sit down with a counselor or a friend or somebody and figure out, why are you angry? Why are you depressed? Because it's usually because of something else that you don't know. And I mean, really, that's the foundation of all of our problems and all of the violence and anger and things that we're seeing that we're talking about.
Okay.
All right. That's all I got.
You took. Wait. You don't know. She said a good thing, but she took away all my onions, so you can't give her full applause. You can't.
Do you need a minute?
I don't. I
Okay.
don't. I
All
got
right.
one. I'm down to one onion now.
No, you'll be fine.
All right. So, Jamie has another comment. You want to go with that one?
Yeah, just heard somewhere. Spend first 3 minutes, just 3 minutes, when you see your family member after being apart during the day. Make eye contact and talk. 3 minutes each person.
That's cool. What do you want to call that?
Isn't that what you do at the dinner table?
Give me a cute name. Let's name that. And so again, I'm giving this to the Akron school people. So what do you want? Let's make a program. What do you want to call it? Name that for me. Be cute. A 330 name. A 3-minute thing where you engage your family. What do you want to call it? Come on, cute name. No, my gosh.
Wow.
Wait a sec. You come here in the back. You in the back. Hey, You're throwing darts from the back row. We need a name. What do you want to call it? It's a 3-minute engagement. No. Stop. I want a cute name that we call it. Nobody wants to. All right. Stop that.
So as like just as parents and moms, we've got this and we've got that, and now we have Facebook, and in your head you gotta, well, if you're doing this, you have to post it on Facebook, or what's this Instagram picture, or I need to work and work and work so I can provide this for my kids. That 3 minutes for some parents may seem impossible. And I'm not saying that it is not very important to take that time. And that parent may not realize that as Johnny is telling them this, they're trying to make dinner because in their head, making dinner is being a good parent. They're doing this. So you're talking to parents that may not really think that they're, I don't even want to say the word neglect, but not giving that time to their child, because in their head, they're working hard for their kids. They're providing this for their kids. They're doing everything right. So something so simple like that can be a difficult thing.
Kate gave me that discussion. I'm not going to call it a lecture. Kate gave me that discussion.
You just did.
No, I didn't call it a lecture.
Okay.
Kate gave me that discussion about a month and a half ago about this show. She's like, I love what you're doing. I respect it, but you cannot let it consume you to the point where you're neglecting the kids. And I may not even realize I'm doing it, okay? Because, so what I did at that point, I pick up the 2 middles. And I'm a talk show junkie. I go from the Fan to KNR and back and forth, okay? Because I want to hear what's going on with sports, and I want to be the first to tweet it out, right? And I'm never the first to tweet it out because our counterparts on the other podcasts are always the first to tweet it out. We won't bring them up right now.
No.
But we will bring our Brown special at the end. But the point is, when I get them into the truck now, when I go to pick them up, the first thing I do is I push the button on the radio. And it literally has taken me weeks to do that. I'm not even joking. Like, Kate gave me the discussion lecture point. So now I get in, I pick them up, and I push the button on the radio, and I turn it off, and I say, "So what happened at school today?" And we're riding home, and usually it's nothing. But just 2 days ago, was it 2 days ago or yesterday? Was it yesterday? Wyatt gets in the truck. And he goes, "We had a problem." And I go, "What do you mean?" So then his teacher comes out. Like, Wyatt gets in, and I first of all, I'm the only car there, which is not normal because usually there's a bunch waiting to pick up the LeBron James Family Foundation after school program. Okay, I was like, it's like 4:06. You're supposed to get there at 4. All right, I'm that parent, right? So she laughs because she's that parent because she's driving the bus all day. So 6 kids, man. All right. So the point is, the teacher walks out and she goes, "Yeah, we had a problem today." And I'm like, "Well, what happened?" They had a fight. They're in 4th grade or 3rd grade, 4th grade. They had a fight. Blah 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 and blah 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 had a fight. Well, blah 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 is Wyatt's friend. Okay. Wyatt was in the restroom and there was a fight out in school and they like literally got in a fight. Was it 3rd or 4th grade or whatever? It was 4th grade. And they got in a fight. And so Wyatt, because one of his friends, was all upset. And I'm like, and he never talks. Like I always go, "So what happened at school today?" "No, yeah, we went outside." "Okay. Yeah, I read a book." "Okay." He never talks. So the whole way home, he's telling me about this fight. Like, what happened? Like, I come outside, and I wasn't out there, and I should have been there for my friend. And I was in the bathroom, and by the time I got out there, the fight was over, and I didn't get to help. And I'm like, "Well, why'd you want to help?" "Well, because I'm a student ambassador at Case, and I would have said, you guys, you shouldn't be fighting right now." So he felt responsible that they had gotten in a fight, and he wasn't there to break it up, and that a teacher had to do it. All right, so, he's taking his title seriously, I guess. But the point is, that leads to that 3 minutes. And it's hard to do that because we are so busy and, we're DJing all weekend. And then we're working for one of the best bosses of all time during the week. Round of applause. and then we're building a show and we're doing life and we're trying to date our spouse. When's the last time we had a date? besides one of these? When's the last time we had a date? Date your spouse. Yeah,
I have it.
you got it. You got it?
Yeah.
Hey, the more you know. Hit it.
Okay. We took a parenting class, like when we were new parents. And you're asking what's a cute little name you can have for time with your kids. Well, first you have to have time with each other if you're married, okay? And they called it couch time. And you sit on the couch with your spouse in front of your kids. Like your kids are supposed to be doing other things. They're not allowed to sit on the couch with you. You're supposed to have couch time. And you're supposed to, 10 minutes. 10 minutes, if that. And you sit down together and you just catch up on your day in front of them. It solved a lot of people's problems, honestly. Like kids who were coming into their bed at night, they just need to know that mom and dad are connecting somehow. If you only have your talks with each other at night when they're asleep, they don't see that, right? Well, you can do it then. After you're done with that, you can have a couch time with each of your kids.
So you're saying couch time with each other while the kids can still see you. So the kids are awake.
Not just at night after they've gone to sleep.
Because our tendency is
Yes.
after the kids go to bed.
We all do it.
Okay.
But like while the, crock pot is on, make the kids sit at the table or something.
Instapot.
I
What
got
the
it.
heck?
I know.
I don't have one yet. I'm still a crock pot guy. Okay, go on. What else?
That's it.
Oh, couch time.
Couch time.
Okay, couch time. So
It's huge, actually, though. It's huge.
okay.
It's supposed to work.
That example, the kids see you guys talking, so then they're going to feel comfortable more to talk and to connect to
Okay.
you. There's the relationship starting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
You can actually get something done later. Yeah, because you already
solved all our problems.
Okay.
10 minutes.
Okay. Hey, we got more coming. Jason's coming up.
Single parent here.
Single parent. What does a single parent do? Go ahead.
So if we're lucky, we get about 45 minutes of time together a day where we're not sleeping or on the run. That time is almost always consistent with being in a vehicle. The conversation that you had just 5 minutes ago about it's difficult to get your kid to talk, it's not that difficult. You just have to ask leading questions. You have to engage in a conversation. You can't just do I'm too stressed out, so I'm just going to say, how was your day? It was fine. What'd you get out of that? Did your kid tell you about the fight? Did your kid tell you about the problem you had? No. I ask 3 really easy questions every day. I pick him up from school. I leave the office, pick him up from school, get 15 minutes together before he gets dropped off at a friend's. And the questions are, what'd you learn today? He knows he doesn't get to do anything else until he tells me that. Tell me something that happened today that wasn't great. Gives him the opportunity to tell me somebody's picking on him. Gives him the opportunity to say he got a bad grade. Gives him the opportunity to say something that he wouldn't otherwise tell you because he's afraid. And the last question's, tell me something that made you happy today. It's not complicated. It's engagement. It just takes you wanting to have the conversation. I'm stressed out every other day with something that's going on in life for work. That doesn't mean that I can blow my kid off. I have to put that aside. I have to put my own problems aside for 15 minutes and make sure I know what's going on with him. You do that, you know your kid. You know your kid, you're going to be able to see when problems are coming.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to add that to the notes. Is it possible for us to do something where we can offer a free resource or a funded resource to parents that are struggling with these things inside the school districts? How do we do that? Do we have like do something like this, like a free town hall? Hey, Akron folks, we're going to have a group meeting at the library on Wednesday. Would you like to join us? Let's come talk about parenting things. Bring your kid if you want. Are these things that we can add? You guys got my idea thing going. What are some ways that we can encourage couch time? Are resources like Comay an option where you can have an hour alone where you use a Comay resource or a babysitting resource or something like that these are all parts of the brainstorming process, right? We've written down everything. We're trying to capture everything. The video's capturing everything right now. All right, so go ahead right now. Go ahead and if you're on Facebook anywhere, go ahead and hit and share and say it's time to discuss guns and their what? What? Seen but not heard. Well, come on up. Come on up. No, you're the one that. Yeah, this is apparent. I grew up. Well, see, I don't want to indict my parents because. Yeah. Come on up. It was more my grandparents. It wasn't my parents.
It's the old school philosophy of children should be seen and not heard. And the problem is we need to get away from that, because by saying they should be seen and not heard, we're doing exactly what we're trying. We're being counterproductive. You know, sit over there and be prim and proper, but don't add to the discussion is what that comment is. And that's just not.
My Jaja and Busha were boat people. Jaja and Busha were from Poland, and then Fulgenzis and Antonucci's came over also. So we had full Italian and full Polish. So my mom grew up in Slavic Village in Cleveland. And Jaja and Busha, this was very common back then. This would be what? Probably the 50s, 60s, that time period. Jaja and Busha lived downstairs, and my grandma and grandpa with my mom and her and my aunt and uncle lived upstairs. Anytime that the kids would do anything, Jaja and Busha would hit the ceiling with a broom. In other words, the kids weren't allowed to play, they weren't allowed to move, they weren't allowed to shuffle, they weren't allowed to play Legos or whatever, anything that would hit the ground. They would bang on the floor with a broom because children were to be seen and not heard. Okay? That's a thought process that my parents grew up with. And, you know, initially, early on in my life, that's how I was raised, right? Now, obviously, that thought process has changed because we want to hear from our kids. Today was a perfect example of that. I'm pretty sure all across America, we heard from our kids. Now, the question is, what do we want to do with that message? All right? And that leads us into the most difficult part of this discussion. We saved it for last because now we're all liquored up and everybody's happy. All right? Right? Woosah. All right? Woosah. Except the one guy that I did want to be drinking has been drinking Cokes all night. So hopefully, so hopefully, all right. So here we go, folks. If you didn't see it on Sunday, I sat down with friend of the show Chris Dunn, and we had an AR-15 and a 9 sitting on the table. Jason, you taking off? Thank you for being here. A round of applause for Jason and his thoughts, everybody. All right. So Jennifer said there's a bunch of free classes through Children's Services. We took some of them through training for foster parenting. They also have Just Dad and Just Mom classes as well. Thank you, Jennifer. We'll add that to our notes. Also, the garage, like resources like that out in Wadsworth for teen moms and for teen pregnancies, and there are resources available. We just need to figure out how to link them and to direct people to those, okay? So the last part of our discussion right now, we're going to finish up on the gun topic. So myself and Chris Dunn sat down on Sunday, and we really dove headfirst into this because I personally do not own any guns. I've shot a lot of them in my time. I have never shot a 50 caliber. I guess there's a bunch of men in this room that have, and they say it's a lot of fun. I have not had the opportunity to do that. All right, but the point is, as we talked about earlier, guns are a significant part of American culture, right? So we're going to land the ship on this. We've been at 2 hours. We're at 2 hours right now. We'd like to hopefully finish up within a half hour, I'm hoping.
What?
Yeah, it should be less than that, hopefully. But so we're going to start. The first question is,
Moon Man's giving you the look.
Moon Man's like ready to retire over there. He took off his headphones.
He just took off that set.
He took off his
It's
headphones.
over.
The first question is, I'm just going to ask it openly, and please come up to the mic. Dan is unfolding. He's got a stack. Look at this.
Oh.
Dan has a stack of those. Okay. The first question is, what is your take on the Second Amendment? What's your take on the Second Amendment? Now, Christina, I'm going to put you on the spot. Are you going to talk at all during this part? Okay. Why don't we everybody, Folks, meet Christina Lynn Shaw. She's going to be running for office here in just a little bit. All right. I'm bringing her on up. Okay, so give us your take on the Second Amendment and where you are on our current rules on gun regulations.
Okay. Obviously, I am a strong progressive Democrat. But did I hear somebody say, "Oh no"?
No.
Okay.
That's probably Dan. That's okay.
I am all about the Second Amendment. I do think we need to have responsible gun ownership laws. I will be very frank and honest. I am in the process of getting my conceal and carry.
Okay. Whoa. Time out. A Democrat getting a conceal and carry. Round of applause for that. Is that yeah? Whoa. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I love the fact. Now listen, I love the fact that you said that, because what people do is they have a tendency to take this issue and go like this, and it's not like this.
Right.
It's a full bipartisan issue, and it's an individual's thought process. So I'm sorry I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, and that's what the problem is we have people that are so far to the right and people that are so far to the left that they can't come together and work on this. And it is a bipartisan issue. When I ran for city council last year in my city that I live in Stowe, this was a big topic of conversation. My personal thoughts, I think everybody has the right to own personally whatever kind of weapon that they feel, as long as they're responsible with it, as long as it's locked up. I grew up in a house with guns. My father is a huge gun owner. My children were brought up around them. There was never a problem with it. I was brought up around it. I'm a single parent. My kids are older, 23 and 24 now. I think as a single woman, I feel like I need to have it. Being a victim of a violent crime twice in my life, I think it's extremely important. I feel like I need to protect myself.
Okay.
So that's kind of where I stand on the Second Amendment.
Did you get a chance to watch any of the coverage that we put up from Firestone or any of the stuff from around the country with the kids today?
Yes, I did. And I will tell you how I feel about that. In Stowe, they were trying to tell the kids not to walk out today. I had several high school seniors contact me, and I said, that's your constitutional right to walk out. And I personally said to them, if you have problems with this, I will contact the ACLU. And last night they called an emergency school board meeting. Living in a nonpartisan city, it's very difficult, especially when you are, very partisan. But I stand very strong and hold true to my values, and I will not change my stance on things like that. I think that our youth of today, I don't think we give them enough credit. They are very vocal. They are very smart. Some of these messages I get from these seniors and our young people today is absolutely unbelievable. They are their thought process and how they put things out there, it's just, we don't give them enough credit.
Well, and it's interesting, right? Because, two parts. One, right now what I'm seeing is the negative backlash on social media is this group of kids is called the Tide Pod generation, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It drives me insane. We got so much intelligence and so much in that youth. And I looked up the stat on that. There's been 140 Tide Pod incidents. So they're taking that and they're putting it on 80 million kids, okay? As a parent, I'm not going to accept that, okay? And the second part is I was overwhelmed with the way that the Akron community as a whole, as far as the school system itself, not only did they embrace the walkout, but then they structured it.
Right.
They said, okay, they're going to do this. We're going to work with them. We're going to make it safe. We're going to give them a voice. We're going to give them an opportunity for a platform, and then we're going to make it happen.
Exactly, and that's the way it should have been handled.
And it's kudos. I mean, we saw it firsthand. Today at Firestone, it was unbelievable. And then I saw pictures all across town. I saw pictures from all the different schools.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the superintendent of the Akron schools and the Mayor Horgan, walking together from Jennings. So I mean, I'm sorry that I don't want to badmouth the city, but I'm sorry that Stowe didn't.
No, they did go ahead. Actually, after there was so much of a fuss made about it, they went ahead and the principal let them go ahead and walk out. So they did go ahead.
Okay.
And so they were very respectful of the students, and they did walk out.
Where are you on the on loophole regulations and all that stuff?
I have I could go so long with that right now.
Okay.
I'll say that.
And you
for
don't.
another
I don't want
day.
to put you on the spot. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
But,
Because that'll be part of your.
Yeah.
that'll be part of your thing.
Yeah, but let me just, yeah, but truthfully, that's where I stand, and I do think it's a very bipartisan. I mean, it's a bipartisan issue, and I think that when we get our elected officials, when we vote, I think that's very important. Not to be very careful who we vote into office, to make sure that we vote somebody into office that can work with somebody across party lines, especially on issues like this.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Let's hear for Christina, everybody. Anyone else? I think you're up. Just bring my chair.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you need a chair?
All right, folks. Now, just so you know, our next friend of show. You can have your chair if you want it.
No, I'm good.
All right. Our next friend of the show, he spoke earlier, is Dan. He just said, do I do a room chair? Next friend of the show is Dan, and me and Dan go back and forth a bit on social media occasionally. So, so here we go. Here we go with Dan's take. And again, we're focused on the Second Amendment right now and gun regulations as a whole. We will get to the NRA in a bit. Oh, I just heard Someone said oh. All right, you're up, Dan. Go ahead.
What do you want to talk about?
I'm going to be quiet.
That's all
man.
right.
This is your forum.
You want to start? Let me just roll back a minute. You want to talk about the school walkout today?
We
Because
can.
that's what we had some fun with that today.
Go ahead.
So, firstly, the school embraced everything. I guess it kind of really does that take away from the resist movement when the school is allowing it? Just out of curiosity, I want your. I don't know what your thought was on that.
I agree with Principal Larry in every word that he said yesterday in the news. What he said exactly was, this is going to happen. This is an opportunity for kids to learn, and it's an opportunity for them to make a choice. And those kids all made choices. The ones that walked out chose to walk out, and there was a number of students that also stayed. And the problem is I don't have those numbers because I'm looking out over a crowd, just like we did at the Browns parade, and I'm trying to guesstimate who's there, right?
Would you agree that most of the students at Firestone walked out?
I don't know. How many are there? Are there 50?
I would say that the majority of the students, more than 50%, walked out, and
easily more than
that's fine.
50%. I'd say probably 75 to 80.
Okay.
And their thought process was the same as my daughter's. I'm assuming. I don't know because I can only speak to my kid.
The other aspect of that is that as that was going on, I was watching your video. I was also watching videos from Barberton and Norton and Elyria and 2 or 3 other ones.
Okay.
Who participated in the way that they had a silent walkout in respect for the people that passed in this school shooting in Florida.
Okay.
Obviously, Firestone was a different story. That was a completely political, indoctrinated speech. The whole, from the Dear Mr. President, it was all politics. And it's all misinformed politics. Mr. President passed legislation. That doesn't come from the president. That comes from Congress. So, dear Mr. and Ms. Congresswomen.
When I heard that, I got uncomfortable.
It was an uncomfortable moment in general. Like, I was semi okay with it until the speaking started, and it was delivered in a poor way, and it also went 11 minutes longer than it was supposed to.
Okay.
Per the 17-minute, and that's probably just lack of understanding, transitions and things. But still, it wasn't a 17-minute walkout. It was a half-hour walkout because of the way everything went down. So,
okay.
I feel like the other schools delivered in a much more professional, much more respectful manner than to get up and have a political speech.
Okay.
So, in general, I don't feel that that's the way to handle things. A bunch of kids walking out of school isn't going to resolve an issue. Let's have legit. And I also saw that they delivered a list of demands to the school board. I can't find that list of demands anywhere. I went looking for it today.
I think there was a student. I remember seeing a student. So when I was at the school board meeting, I was in the back left corner. The one student that spoke today, the taller one, was in the front right corner. And I think he was there. They had a student recognition early on, and I think he left that with the school board.
I'm just curious because I haven't seen that, and I haven't seen the school board's response to it.
Gaffer. Hey, Gaffer, too. Keep
So
going.
Just,
Keep
just,
going.
Just
keep
that
going.
in general. I was intrigued by that. So
Keep going. Keep going. I just need tape.
that's the gist of the school walkout. Of my opinion on the school walkout.
Okay.
My daughter did it, along with all your daughter and a bunch of other kids. And
Why? What was the reason your daughter did it?
I don't know. I haven't seen her yet today.
Okay.
Because I came here instead.
I think that would be a great opportunity for you guys to have your couch time.
And I'm just gonna throw this out there. Just if this walkout had been on a Saturday, I wonder how many of those students would have come.
Okay.
Okay. That's the end of my opinion on the walkout. I love you, Kathy.
I
love you, Kate.
And to be frankly honest, I gave you that liberty because we're friends, but that wasn't the topic.
Oh, I know.
I'm just pointing out. I'm just.
All right, ready?
No, go ahead. You're up.
He's got a lot of papers there.
So Hank was so kind to send me his list of onions. So I'm gonna peel some layers here with you.
Okay.
So
wow.
Under the gun category.
No. Time out. The question I posed right now was because we're gonna get to
Guns
the
are good.
The question. The question I asked was, where are you on the Second Amendment and on the current gun regulations?
All right, I want to preface this with the fact that I'm not an NRA member, and I
okay.
personally own a couple guns, but I've had the same guns for years. I'm not one of these people that are out having a bunch of guns and keeping them all.
Andrew's a cool cat and he's a collector
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
I have several friends who have hundreds of guns, and that's their business.
Okay.
In my case, I have a couple guns, and they are what they are. I'm a constitutionalist.
Okay.
I believe in the Constitution. I believe that the Constitution gives us the right to have firearms.
Okay.
Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, that's Second Amendment. What? You want him on?
Getting some feedback.
Well, I did. Oh, he's bringing a chair. We'll get him set up. All of a sudden, this became a debate. I'm not debating, though. I'm just asking an opinion. I'm not a moderator. Go that way. There we go. All right. So what Kate just said that they had not. They did not what? Kate, come on up. She gets the mic.
No, I don't need the mic. They didn't make. They did not give it to the school board yet. I know they've talked to Mr. Johnson multiple times, but I don't know if they've comprised a full list of what it is, because I think what they're sending to the high school is also different than what they're sending to the school board.
Okay.
There's different functions for those, and they just haven't stated them yet.
I feel like that probably would have been a good thing to go through
But
today.
it's all a work in
Right.
progress, and since it's student-led,
Just the word demands.
Okay.
Intrigues me. So I'm interested in seeing that. So if you students are watching, feel free to send that on over.
We do have some regular Firestone parents that do tune into the show. So yeah, I'd be curious for that too. Hey, what's going on over there?
Fight.
Just fix that. Don't hit end broadcast. All right, we got a show going on. All right, so go ahead. You're up, Dan.
No, you.
The question was, all right. So Second Amendment, you summed it up in one sentence.
I'm pro Second Amendment.
Pro Second Amendment. Have you ever questioned the interpretation of the militia?
Nope.
Not at all.
Not even. The Supreme Court has ruled on that multiple times.
And you don't. What's your take on improvement in technology of weaponry over the years in regards to Second Amendment?
Ironic that you mentioned that. There's always this side of the argument that is, well, back then they had muskets and that was with the one bullet per minute. So I pulled up a couple stats here.
Go on.
Let's see. The Belton flintlock gun was developed during the Revolutionary War and could fire 20 rounds in 5 seconds with one pull of the finger. The Grenadier rifle was 22 caliber where a 22 high capacity round magazine could be accurately fired within 30 seconds. Was back during the Revolutionary War. The Puckle gun was an early Gatling gun 60 years before the Revolutionary War. And the pepper box revolvers could hold 20 rounds and were developed hundreds of years before our founding fathers.
Okay. So they knew they had automatic weaponry back then.
Yeah.
All right. So what's your take now on what's your take on our current regulations in regards to owning a firearm?
As far as which regulations?
Well, a lot of people bring up the loopholes in terms of purchasing. A lot of people bring up the background check issues. A lot of people bring up, should we allow ourselves to track guns? Should we be allowed to put chip registration in guns?
So anytime that a gun is purchased from a federal firearms dealer, there is a background check that is run. If I have a gun that my grandpa owned that's passed down to me, there's not a background check involved in that. A lot of people talk about the gun show loophole. A lot of times it's the same people that go to the gun shows trying to buy guns through the gun show loophole that can't get guns through the gun show loophole. There is a chance, but for the most part, every time that occurs, you can't falsify your background check. It's a felony if you do, and you're arrested at a gun show. And any reputable dealer is going to do a background check. No, most gun dealers don't want people to get guns that aren't legitimate to have a gun.
Chris had mentioned on Sunday that for the most part, because they do have identification numbers, right? They got a registration number. Most people don't want to be involved with selling a gun to somebody that's going to do wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay? But how do we?
And not just that, but what gun dealer wants people to die?
Right.
It's going to, worst case, if you think just from a financial standpoint, it's going to muck up their market and make it more difficult for them to work.
What do we do then to fix the problem where Chris brought this up Sunday? We talked about it together. So, Steve's got a gun. All right. Steve wants to sell me a gun. I go over to him. I hand him $500. And what? Oh, we got pie. It's pie day. What? It's just 3.14. Hey, Stephen Hawking died on Pie Day. There's a shocker. What? So Steve's got a gun. He wants to sell me a gun. I hand him $500 cash. Nobody knows I got the gun. Okay. Then Roddy wants a gun, and I don't want my gun anymore. So he hands me $500 cash, and now he's got a gun. Okay. It's the same gun. And then Christina wants a gun. So she goes to Roddy, and she gives him $500 cash, and now she's got the gun. Okay. Now Christina walks into a Walmart and says, "Give me all your shoes." All right. And at which point then she gets arrested, and now the gun is a part of a crime. Okay. So if she doesn't say anything, that gun is now ended up in her hands through what is considered right now to be a legal purchase, and it's just committed a crime. Okay. What do we do about that? How do we fix that problem? Where to brainstorm?
It's not possible to fix it.
Why?
How is it? If I sell you a gun, I sell you a gun.
Why?
I'm
why
wrong.
can we not put a title on a gun like a car? When I sell you my trailer, let's say I want to sell you my DJ trailer, and you bring $500, we now have to go to the BMV and.
But you don't. You take it and weigh it.
I got a title on a trailer.
It's not required to license it.
What?
Let's talk cars.
Let's talk cars. All right. Kevin, thank you. Bad example.
Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin. I'll say my truck. Okay. Right now, when I go, I gotta have license, registration, and insurance. Right. Mm-hmm. Anytime I'm stopped. What's stopping us from doing that with guns? And I know the answer already, but why can't we do it anyway? The answer is people with guns don't want people to know that they have guns. And the question is why?
Bad people or good people?
Good people. My friend Josh is on every day. Every single time I post anything on Facebook, Josh is the first person to say, I don't want the government to know. I'm sorry, I'm getting heated. Okay. I don't want the government to know how many guns I have or where they're at. That's the first thing I hear every single time. Why?
Because if you look at one, so all right, let me just step this back a notch. If it was up to me, even though it's a right, if I could make every gun in the world disappear, I would make every gun in the world disappear.
You said that to me earlier.
But I can't do that. So I feel safer, and I feel that my family is safer with those guns that I am legally allowed to own.
Thank you, Christina. Okay, we'll share it. We'll share it everywhere.
Thank you. Very
Okay.
nice to meet you.
Okay. Okay.
As far as, I mean, give me a good answer, a good reason to it. The reason that the Constitution says that we can have guns is to protect potentially against the government.
Mhm.
So, in doing so, if we make a list of it, you can come get me and take my gun. You know I have guns. You can come take them.
Then the counter to that is, and we've talked about this before, you know, the military's up here in terms of their weaponry versus us. And then the counter to that is, if the military was ever ordered to come take our weapons, then the military itself would fracture, which is what happened with the Civil War. So the problem
But there are examples of this occurring. At Hurricane Katrina, National Guard went house to house taking people's guns.
Okay.
Perfect example of that case where that occurs.
What was their thought process in doing so?
They thought people were looting.
Okay.
So they illegally went and took people's guns.
So is it a safety concern?
Yeah.
Do you have a problem with that though?
I
mean, in that scenario, because that's kind of like a martial law scenario, isn't it?
But if I'm in my house and there's people looting all around me,
right?
What's going to keep me safe in my house?
I get it. And again, this is where the brainstorm part comes in, folks. What are your ideas? It's real easy to say, okay, well, this is where we're at, and then we just stop.
Yeah, I don't have a solution to this one. I mean, it's not as easy as simply saying we're going to have a title for it. Because what if somebody breaks in your house and steals it?
Correct.
You know, they talk about Chicago has some of the tightest gun control and in the country, and they have the highest number of shootings per capita.
I have insider information on that. It's crazy.
They drive across the border in Indiana and use the gun show.
It's not even that.
They're by, you know.
No, the issue with Chicago, and the only reason I even know this is because we have my day job. We've got a second office there, so I'm in Chicago 5-6 times a year. So about 3 months ago, I was at a conference and I was exhibiting it in Chicago, and the guy next door to me had a booth, and I asked him this question because it was right after Vegas just happened. It was like 2 weeks after Vegas, and I said, Chicago is, you know, this legendary city with the toughest gun regulations in America, but it's got like the highest per capita gun violence. Why? His answer really shocked me. Okay. He said Chicago is broken down into multiple cities. So not Chicago is its own thing, but you got this southern portion and you got this northern and lake portion. The southern portion, people don't go into. It's a socioeconomic divide. So in other words, instead of those areas, and he even said this, he said he's got 2 or 3 friends that are on the police force. What they do right now, Rahm Emanuel in his brilliance, he had created a program where they would tear down a Section 8 house, a Section 8 area. They would raise it, and they would build up a brand new apartment complex that's state-of-the-art, high-end, awesome. But they would move the people back right in there that were from Section 8, and they got the same pricing that they were at their old apartment, and then they would allow other people from a different socioeconomic divide to move in, okay? So all of a sudden, you've got a mix of culture and class clashing at the same time. In addition to that, the southern portion of Chicago, if you go look up those gun violence statistics, that's where everything happens, right? Because police don't go in until it's over. It's not a let's go police the area. It's a let's go collect the bodies afterward.
So it's the police's fault.
No, he basically said this is how it is done. This is the guy that's standing right next to me, and there's multiple police that are friends of his, and he said to me, and it really shocked me because I'm like, say that again. Did I just hear you right? He said that they will literally wait to respond to a call until they know that they're not going to get shot down in the southern area of Chicago. And at that point, it becomes a collection mission as opposed to a I'm going to go. And
pretty horrible, isn't it?
That, but my point is, I'm sitting there just going, are you for real? And he's like, dead for real. Okay? That's part of the discussion. And,
so let me just throw this out there.
But people don't want to talk about those sorts of things. And a further question is, if you look at these school shootings that have happened, you'll notice not many of them are in urban markets. Why? Because those urban markets are already policed and already have metal detectors. These are all parts of the discussion. These are the parts that people don't want to talk about.
Yeah, when we see school shootings, it's not usually what just happened at Jackson, where the guy brought the gun in and killed himself. it's usually somebody comes in not caring whether there's a metal detector or not and going crazy.
Right.
And that's a different scenario. You think about everywhere that there has been an increase of guns, there has been a decrease of violent crimes and murders. Everywhere in the country that gun laws have been loosened to the point where people carry. There's a small town in Georgia that I actually have friends that live in called Kennesaw, Georgia, where in the 80s they passed a law that said every household has to have a gun and has to have ammunition. Now, whether or not they've ever enforced this law or not is up for debate. In the last 6 years, they've had 1 murder and 6 violent crimes in a town of 30,000. So just think the size of Barberton. 1 murder and 6 violent crimes in 6 years.
Where do we find common ground on that? Where can, as a society, here? Okay, this brings up the NRA.
I don't think it does, but that's
it does because the thing that they called a town hall. All you had was Parkland families just beating on the administration.
The CNN thing, that was
just to do it the way that they did was awful.
Shame on CNN.
Shame on everybody for that. Okay, but then you got the Parkland families all venting and saying we just need to take all guns out of everybody's hands. But then on the flip side of that, you got, is her name Dana?
Dana Loesch.
Dana. So Dana does her thing, right? And then not only does Dana do her thing live there, but then they come out with a commercial 2 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
And that commercial was unbelievable to me. It was, what would be the right word I would use? Tone deaf?
Well, if you look at what occurred, is she was totally abused and misused for that event. And it made the whole tendency and the whole discussion about it lean toward taking everybody's guns away.
Right.
And
which you and I both agree, number one is not an option or a solution. We agree on that.
Correct.
Okay. We all agree on that, I think. I think most of us know guns are here to stay, but how do you handle
on the
that?
side of public opinion, it still leans on the side of people are in support of the Second Amendment and in support of people having the right to have guns in the country of the United States. More than 55% of Americans believe that the Second Amendment gives you the right to have guns. So that, and this came up in discussion earlier, is why didn't this get passed under Obama or under Clinton or anybody? Because the bulk of the country is still on the side of people being able to have the right to have guns.
I guess what's weird for me, though, with President Trump is in that first week or two after, it was kind of like this. It was like a reaction, then a reaction, then a reaction, and a reaction. Like he would react to the Parkland folks, and then he would react to the NRA and react back and forth. So I think a lot of people's frustrations in regards to the administration is just find something to do and just go that direction. At first it was, oh, we need to get rid of bump stocks. It's a tweet, right? And then the next day it's like, oh, well, it's like the NRA got to him or something.
Bump stocks are dumb anyway.
I know. We all agree on that. We all know that. All the technology behind it. But the question is, where do we find that common ground, and how do we come up with solutions that make sense? And what are the solutions, and are they even necessary? And right now, there's a lot of folks that are saying we don't need to make any changes, and there's a lot of folks that are saying we need to get rid of everything. And somewhere there's that common ground. And right. Where is it?
That's a good question. So just everybody's always leans back to the NRA, the NRA, the NRA. If you look at the numbers, I just so happen to have said numbers.
Go for it.
We talk lobbyists and lobbying groups in the 2016 election cycle. The NRA ranked 154th in the election cycle. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce spent $82 million. And this source is from opensecrets.org, which is a lobbying watchdog type of website. Everybody from Amazon.com, Lockheed Martin, Comcast, AT&T, Google, all spent in the tens of millions of dollars lobbying Congress or lobbying and supporting candidates in that period of time, and the NRA spent $3 million. It's not this. The NRA has been made to be the evil guy in this thing. The NRA represents. It was 5. The last number I heard with a recent uptick is 7 million Americans who paid to the NRA to have that right to support that right for people to have a gun.
Okay. Okay.
So the NRA is not some evil. That's what the mainstream media in this age tend to make it out to be. The NRA is this evil man who's,
I just sighed. The reason I sighed, hey, Moon Man, where are you going? Don't be going long. We're going to end in like 5 minutes, man. All right. So,
Sure.
you you
Yeah.
smoke him if you got him, buddy. I think a lot of that goes back to Charlie. Charlie, the whole you can take this gun out of my cold dead hands. The problem is
Wow.
once he said that and did that,
It was like that before, but it wasn't as vocal. It
But
wasn't as visual.
that's what happened, right? So he did that, and then all of a sudden, stigma, just it's like getting sprayed with a skunk. You know what I mean?
But if you think about the logic behind it, it's a right. The Supreme Court has ruled it a right. If I try to take your right to free speech away from you, you're going to feel the same way. You're going to take my right to free speech from my cold dead hands, and it is what it is. It's a right that's given to us by the Constitution.
And see,
that's his opinion on it. That's my opinion on it, and 55% of Americans feel the same way.
And I got a bunch of.
There's some crazier right winger.
Here's the problem, right? Here's the problem. It's not a problem, but I'm connected to a lot of people just like you are, and the flip of that is, there's a lot of folks out there that feel that we read the Second Amendment wrong to begin with, in regards to what is a militia, and that's why I asked you earlier. And people have commented to me, well, to me, a militia would be like the Minutemen back in the day, where it's only called upon if needed, and you got your gun, and it's in the back room, and that kind of thing.
It's kind of like interpreting the Bible. There's different things from the past meant different things. In the past, a militia was people who were fighting against
Farmers,
right? And you got to think in context.
The guy working at the newspaper,
of you working at your farm, and the British coming in,
firefighters
wanting to take your farm.
whatever, right? Exactly. So, and that's part of the thought process. So, all right, let's wrap up the gun part. You had a couple more statements, so go ahead.
All right, we'll be fast. The CDC says between 500,000 and 3 million people are saved every year by guns, either from a defensive standpoint or from people not committing crimes against somebody because there's the risk that person has a gun in their property. Hammers and fists killed 3.5 million more people than rifles. Texting while driving kills 11 kids per day in the U.S. Maybe that's something the kids should have talked about today.
That was brought up for about 2.5 hours on my feed today.
Crime has plummeted in every state that's implemented concealed carry. But maybe if we outlaw murder, it'll take care of.
Don't do that.
The murder
Don't
stuff.
do that. Don't do that. Come on. Everything you said was legit until that right there. What are you doing, man? Don't stop. Outlaw.
Did you just bow?
I bowed.
Okay.
At least I didn't.
All right.
Oh, hey, where's my producer? I need like 18 woosahs up here right now. All right, so folks, you just hit it. You know the button? Go for it. That was Moon Man's wife. Moon Man's wife just went bug
She
nuts.
just went
on
nuts on.
I just want to throw this out there. There's nothing.
Whoa.
Go ahead.
See that catch?
Don't throw
Says
it.
hands.
Don't throw it. Go ahead.
I caught it. There's nothing more I want than for my kids to be safe in school.
Okay.
I just think that the way we're going to get there is not. We're not on the same page, and I don't have the answer that's going to solve this issue, and I don't think anybody does. I'm with you. There's lots.
No, and we all agree with that.
Onions.
We all agree with that. It's all onions. It's all layers to the onion. So, how you doing,
dude? We've been here.
That was
a long time.
That was a
Yeah.
marathon. Can we just agree that we're never doing this again?
Stop.
That was the longest show of all time.
It is.
I'm gonna land the plane with one last thought.
And
God. So we specifically did not talk about God during this discussion. And the reason being is because there are so many different viewpoints in regards to, as a country, we were founded on the freedom of religion. I went to the University of Akron yesterday, and I toured their engineering college. So I was at the engineering college, and there was a large population of Muslim students. And at the time we were there touring one of the facilities, that particular wing had been closed down because it was prayer time. Okay? So from a God standpoint, if you are spiritual, if you do believe in God, that is something that is important to be a part of this discussion, and it is something to learn in regards to sharing that with your children. Whether you pray at home, whether you pray at the dinner table, whether you pray before you go to bed, you should include these types of topics into those prayers, right? In regards to, sharing this open dialogue with your kids, sharing this open dialogue with your family members and your friends. We shy away from it because it's not something we can really discuss openly from a standpoint of the diversity that's involved with that topic. But that, and I know Jason's very passionate about that, and it's one of the things that Jason alluded to. He was like, we don't have police at private schools that are Christian schools, and he was basically implying it's because they're a faith-based organization. Okay, well, I'm going to debunk that by saying just this week there were 2 faith-based organizations that I know that were closed because those kids had threats that were legitimate threats that the kids were all sent home or stayed home that day. So, it's all part of the discussion, and it's part of the things that we need to include. Roddy, I've talked a lot on this. Is there anything you want to say before we close?
This was fun. It was fun in the way that it opens the door for dialogue. It opens the door for change. It's something that needs to happen, and we're going to get there. It's just a matter of when. We just have to agree, and we need to find the things to get us there. We have to agree instead of disagree.
I think the kids have started the conversation.
Yeah.
And I think it's up to the adults now to take that ball and run with it.
Exactly.
And it's where do we end up? They're going to need guidance. They're the ones that are kind of poking.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's our responsibility to take that to the next level.
Exactly.
This is stage 1. We're going to deliver these to the school board. It's going to be a process, folks. We have no idea where we're going to end up. And Dan stole my onion.
Nope, he did.
All right. So, folks, we've been on a mission tonight to work together and find common ground. And we hope that our discussion was insightful and helpful. And we plan on delivering these notes to all local school systems and municipalities within the 330 and beyond. I'd like to thank all of our viewing audience and our in-studio audience for participating and remaining open-minded and civil. And it all starts with a spark, folks. The winds of change are now blowing, and it's up to us and people like us to determine where we all land with this. Hey, tune in. Just join us next week as we're all back on the beat live at Ed's Detailing out in Wadsworth to discuss all things automotive in the 330 and car-related.
Before you hit your tagline.
Yeah.
We need to give one more shout-out to Chop and Swizzle.
Let's hear it one more time for Chop and Swizzle.
Chop Swizzle, you guys have been fantastic.
Chef Dick and Aaron and all the bartenders were fantastic. They've been taking great
Absolutely.
care of us. Hey, folks, but until next week, I don't know where I'm going, but there ain't no sense in being late. Say goodnight, Shirley.
Good night, Shirley.